All right, I'm live. It's Friday. I'm up. Did a little housework. Got a lot more to do. And I think I'm going to concentrate on putting together the Gunfighters 2. It's female gunfighters, which there were a few of them. And especially if you're playing a game like Deadlands or something like that, and you have female players at the table, which I do, then if you're going to use miniatures, the ladies like to have their own miniatures. And honestly, who could blame them? Not me. You know, when I play a game, if miniatures are involved, I like a miniature that looks like my character. So I'm kind of a miniature snob in a way. Now, the other thing, and this just came in, I got this on a good deal on this on, I'm getting ready to show you. I'm sorry. I got a great deal on this actually on eBay. It's so weird though. It says that these are metal figures, but it's the English starter set for Blood and Plunder, which I bought. I already told you I bought two of the Teach versus Maynard box sets, but one of them I'm giving to my nephew as a gift. You know, Christmas is coming up, and he's a Navy man. So, you know, if I end up wanting to buy a second one for some reason, I can always do that at a later date, right? But, you know, those things will be here soon enough. And I can always wrap one up and be like, from Uncle James, you know. He might even have enough room on his submarine because he's an officer. He might have enough room in his desk to take the box set with him, which would be cool because then he could play games with some of the other men there. Now, it's weird because, like I said, it says these are metal, but they're actually plastic. They're cast plastic, so they're like that resin plastic. But they're the actual official minis, and there's 25 of them. And then at the very bottom, I'm trying to get to it because there's so much stuff in here. It gives you the stats for the game for these guys. So let's look. English faction force special rules. You can reroll any failed fatigue and rally test. That's good. Any English militia commander, Colonel Edward Morgan, Sir Thomas Whetstone, Henry Morgan, etc. Those are your options. Your core unit is English militia, freebooters, and militia cavalry, which I have none of. Support units are pikemen, freebooters, artillery crew, sea dogs, musketeers, and African warriors. So that's kind of good. And it gives you a bunch of special, you know, force special rules. Like once per game, you can discard all the cards in your hand because this game uses cards. Hey, Craig and Hungar, why don't you jump in? If you can. So you can discard all your cards and get new cards. And the force always adds +2 to its roll to determine if it's the attacker or not. So that's really cool. You know, these guys will go on my sloop, or as Hungar was talking about, and I probably shouldn't have done it, but I went on Etsy and I found a guy that was making 32 to 20, 28 to 32. I picked 32 millimeter light frigates. So, will I get to use it? Probably not, because I'm sure there's rules about walking out the door. Damn it. I'm sure there's rules about, points costs for things, but I will have a British light frigate with a British crew. And the main reason for that is because in Sid Meier's Pirates, which I played the hell out of when I was just a wee lad, and computers had just came out, I always picked to play the British. Even though a lot of times I ended up seducing and marrying a French, countess or something like that. I think the French women were just the hottest in that game. And it was that old, like Commodore pixel art. So, but, and in the new Pirates, I always ended up picking the British. Even though every now and then I would pick the Dutch just to switch it up. But I don't know. It's like it's so early when you play that you don't really get a choice to be the Americans, or I would, if it had been after, like, I don't know, the 1800s, I definitely would have picked American, and I would have oh my now, how you doing? Yeah, Sid Meier's Pirates, man. I have probably spent, if I'd spent all the time I spent on Sid Meier's Pirates on a college degree, I would have a doctorate in something, 100%. You know what I mean? Because I've probably put in that much. I'll tell you what, Sid Meier's Pirates, one thing that it is amazing about it is if you play that game for a while, and I mean the old one or the new one, you will get to where like the capital cities of Caribbean islands, and like I have the whole map of the Caribbean burned into my brain. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's like I know where Port Royal is. I know actually we were doing we're at this bar slash eatery, and we were doing a like a damn it a contest, where they ask questions and you answer them. And I ended up knowing the capital of the Dominican Republic somehow. Now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't really remember it. But at the time in the bar, I was sitting there and they said something, and I was like, I think it's Port-au-Prince or something like that. And they're like, well, no one else knows, so we're going to go with, what James says. And turned out to be right. Curacao. Yeah, you always got to go down there and convert them over to, like, if you're playing the British, if you whip their ass bad enough, they become British. But then eventually the Spanish will come and recapture, and if you run through the islands, you got like St. Kitts and Montserrat, and all that. So the best thing I liked, and a lot of people I don't know because it let you pick your time periods. And I like to pick like 1580s or whatever it was. So a lot of modern ships just didn't even exist. It would be like, you would literally just be kind of in the old ships. There wouldn't be any frigates. The best you might see is a fast galleon or something like that. The whole geography would be the same, but like there would be different towns, and right, like it would be different. And like me, I always picked for my character to be long lived, like healthy, so that it gives you like an extra 10 or 20 years to adventure. And so I would do that. Or you pick like 17 whatever, and that's like the golden age of pirates. And then there's the last one you can pick, which is like the twilight of pirates. But yeah, having a frigate all completely decked out with triple bunks and stuff, and you've got like 300 men on the thing, and that's when you raid like Havana or one of the big cities, and take all the gold, and then you fight a battle. This is what I used to do, which might be chaotic evil. Get into a battle and intentionally do everything wrong so that as many of your men would die as possible, and then run off with the fewest amount of men ever. And that's when you go and sell off everything except for the ship, the one ship, and you split the loot. When there's like 20 people left, you split the loot. And then everyone that, survives gets so much good loot that when you come back to try to recruit pirates for missions for the next go around, they're like all super freaking stoked to join you. You walk into the bar and you're like, how they talk in the game, but it's like, I'm looking for a crew. And then there's like all the guys at the table and they're like, and then the next thing you know, it's like 65 guys join your crew, and you still got your frigate from before. So you're like, all right, not your Echo. Oh, always heard there were 3 kinds of suns in Kansas: sunshine, sunflowers, and sons of bitches. Yeah, Josie Wells. Yeah, yeah, great movie. That is one of Clint Eastwood's best, absolute best movies. And I would fight you on that. Well, not you, but anybody. Anybody that was like, nope, Josie Wells sucked, I'd be like, well, you're a GD carpet bagging bullshitter. I don't care where you're from. That was a good movie. And the actual message behind the movie is, no matter how different we are, we can all learn to live together. Why would anybody not like that message? That's a great message. You know what I mean? Because you got the hardcore Confederate, you've got the Indian chief, you've got the woman who got kicked out of her tribe for being a little bit too easy. You got the Kansas Jayhawkers who, hate the Confederates, but in the end learn to not. I mean, you got some Mexican guys and Indian dudes. I mean, you've got all kinds of people, and they're all banded together with Josie Wells, and they finally find a place to set up a ranch where they're all going to live together in peace. And then he even makes peace with the Comanche. The speech we've talked about. I can see the words that your words are words of iron, the iron in your words. I mean, so if you look at the actual story, it is a inspirational story. It's about all these just completely people who would hate each other under the normal run of things becoming a family. But anyway, Vic, the scourge of Minnesota, how are you doing?
Just fine there, reprobate.
I am a little bit of a reprobate, I guess. Even though I'll be honest with you, I'm still not 100% sure what a reprobate is. But
it's an endearing term, man. It's an endearing term for you.
I've never actually looked it up, so I don't know. I've heard it a couple of times, but
I think your wife would call you a reprobate, a lovable reprobate. That's what I think your wife would say about you.
Yeah. My wife, she's in there watching. She is such a funny lady. For the longest time, her arch nemesis, the thing she hated more than everything else in the world, was YouTube. She absolutely hated YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I was watching YouTube, she hated it. She'd be like, "There is nothing on YouTube worth even watching." Blah 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 blah. You know, she was like, now she can't get enough of it. And it started with the election because I think she realized that nothing you see on TV is real. So now she's going on YouTube and watching all these pundits, and like she's watching Sargon and freaking Timcast and the usual subs. Like I put her on the Salty Cracker, and now all of a sudden, every time I walk through the house, she's watching YouTube. And sometimes I'm all like, God, give it a break, but whatever. So, because
the reprobate, the definition of reprobate on both the screens there for you. So if you want to.
Unprincipled person, sometimes, often used humorously or affectionately. Aw. He had to present himself as more of a lovable reprobate than a spirit of corruption. Is that describing Sauron? I don't know. But yeah, you can maybe I might have to yell at her, tell her turn it down, but because she got in an accident a long time ago, and like she's pretty much deaf in one ear. So every now and then I'm like, turn it down.
Got to get her them ear horns, like in the Hobbit there, the dwarfs were using.
Or in Beverly Hillbillies, Granny would have that.
You get your 3D printer up and make her an ear horn and walk it in there to her.
Right.
I'm sure she'll appreciate it. Not
this election, for whatever reason, like she's always like super into whatever's going on in elections. But this one, it's been like 100%. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is over now. All we got to do is wait and hopefully not get nuked in the next, 60 days?
Yeah.
But you guys heard what happened. Of course, Zelensky decided to shoot one of those arc missiles into Russia. And Vladimir Putin said he shot most of them down. One hit. Some people died, but it's not going to change anything, is what Putin said. So to prove he wasn't joking around, he shot an ICBM into Kiev, but he didn't put a nuclear warhead on it. He just had the normal warhead on it. But then he gave a big speech, which I watched on news from India, like, the Indian newspaper. And he was talking about that's our, whatever the name of the missile is, it flies at 10 times the speed of sound, Mach 10.
Oh, he's like hypersonic missiles.
And he's like, the West has nothing that can stop it. And Ukraine couldn't stop it. So he's just letting people know that he can nuke them and there's nothing they can do about it. And Zelensky is admitting that they can't win, but swearing to fight on. And it's like, and in the Putin speech, he's like, if they don't want peace, that's fine, because we're advancing on every front. He's like, we're winning this war. So their choice is to sue for peace or have Russian troops in Kiev.
Well, we were having this discussion with David Wesley and some of the other guys that are old war guys up at the Wesley's house 2 weeks ago, and the discussion was it's all logistics. It's if Zelensky could figure out to keep Russia from resupplying their troops. He said then Zelensky can win. But if Zelensky can't stop the resupply, then it's just a matter of attrition from there on out. So
and you know what? Wesley is not wrong. And let him know an old war fighter agrees with him. Yeah, if the Russians can continue to be resupplied with food and ammunition and fuel, you cannot stop them. They're just going to grind over you.
yeah.
And Zelensky has used weapons to attack supply depots and shit. But the problem is the Russian Federation's production levels are insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there was the one thing where they're talking about they create more artillery rounds in an hour than France does in a year. Hey, we got the Dark Knight. Haven't heard from this guy. Did you get thrown in jail for posting spicy memes or what? We haven't seen you in a couple weeks.
Just been kind of laid back a little bit.
Taking a break.
Yeah, just a little bit. Working on my Swords and Wizardry game for next year. I decided to show solidarity towards America. I'm setting it in post-apocalyptic America.
Well, why not?
Why not? It's me, America, where Trump is God Emperor, Kamala Harris is a hyena.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. The Yakubians are everywhere. Santa was abducted by the FBI, and they're fighting against the space Amish and all this other good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the funniest part of this election cycle, I don't care what anyone says, was the fact that the Amish showed up in like force.
Really?
The Amish were literally rolling into Lancaster, Pennsylvania with Trump flags hanging off the back of their buggy wagons.
I hope they were hand-stitched. That'd be great.
They never the Amish generally stay out of politics entirely.
Yeah, they're kind of like.
But this time, I guess somebody explained it to me. Like the Democrats are trying to pass laws on Whole Foods, which would directly affect the Amish because they
can't
generally don't pasteurize anything. They just, you know what I mean? So
yeah, because they live in a very like primitivist, world.
Yeah, like 1800s, man.
Yeah, because they want to live close to God. It's like a form of Ludditeism, but whatever. It's their choice.
When they're not sneaking off to parties to get freaking drunk and high. And
look, kids get crazy once in a while.
Apparently, Amish kids will, even when they're living Amish, they'll pay money to go to what they call hut parties.
Look, I'd be more.
And it's just basically a house that somebody puts a couple kegs in and charges like $20 entry fee.
I'm of the opinion that let kids have their fun. I'm more concerned about the inbreeding problem in the Amish. That's what I'm more concerned about.
Yeah, I've heard that they have been trying to like fix that by like having Amish women sleep with non-Amish men.
I mean,
kind of like how the Inuits and a lot of Siberian tribes do. It's like if you visit them, they kind of send their women in to you while you're visiting in the hopes that you can knock them up. Because then,
I mean, that's kind of what the Old Testament was warning the Israelites against doing, but
inbreeding?
Well, no, as in like people of like foreign faiths and stuff, don't marry them, don't have anything to do with them. That was in.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the whole story of like the Old Testament
with the Canaanites.
Like God picks a champion, the champion does something great, then a woman shows up.
Yeah.
And the woman wants a champion to build an idol to Moloch or some shit.
Yeah.
He does. And then God gets angry and punishes the shit out of everybody.
Well, I mean, it's the same with
rinse and repeat, basically. Rinse and repeat.
We lost Vic. Shit. Oh, he's had to be right back. No, it's the same with the laws against the Canaanites. Like, when they're saying like, don't get tattoos, don't deal with people of a foreign religion, don't practice magic. Yeah, because
God was trying to keep them pure for the coming of the Messiah.
Yeah, well,
But they did everything they could to
fuck it
not.
up. Yeah.
I mean, when you've got columns of flame come down from heaven to consume, your
The Egyptians.
forces, and the prophet Elijah's roaming around telling you you're going to have a drought for like 7 years unless you straighten the hell up. And by and large, the kings would not, because they were idiots. I mean, that is the Old Testament. It's like they shouldn't call it the Old Testament. They should call it the big book of Jews just effing up all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is. Even Moses effed up and was not allowed to leave Sinai. He wasn't allowed to step into the promised land.
What did he do again? That like, what was it?
God had told him to strike a rock or some shit, and he doubted.
Right. Yeah, he doubted the
and I could be wrong. It could be something else, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like,
basically, God told him to do something, and he doubted it. And God was like, all right, because you doubt me, you can still be the leader, but you'll never step foot in the Holy Land. And then he was preceded by Joshua, I think.
Was it Joshua? Oh, okay.
And that's the one that walked around in circles around that city until the walls fell.
Yeah. But, we can only hope that when Jesus did what was it called? Was it the scouring of hell? Or this? It was something. There's a term for it. I don't remember. That he brought Moses up with him.
Yeah, they say that when he died, he spent 3 days and he brought all of the patriarchs and everything.
Yeah, that like Jonah. He said, well, I was like Jonah and the whale, because they liken Jonah being in the whale to being in Sheol or hell. So
right. Well, I mean, in Irish mythology, the deep ocean was hell.
I mean, to the Greeks as well. They feared, like, if you didn't get into if you died at sea, you couldn't get to the afterlife. You were just left there forever. And it's like, I have a theory that
reprobate keep going.
Oh, I think he might be losing connection or something. But like the fact that there might be some connection between, like, because Poseidon in Mycenaean Greek was a god of the underworld, not the sea. And the fact that Creus, a titan in Greek myth, is also a Creus?
No, I was saluting Nerdy Ogre and James.
Right.
And Crafting Gamer. Crafting Gamer, I hope you eventually get your thing. I sent you. I think that I left out a number on the tracking. I hope it worked. And dude, I know you're going to be happy, because if you're not, then you're like cuckoo in the cuckoo head.
Yeah.
The people needed water. God told him to strike a rock and that water would come out. And the second time he was to speak to the rock, but he hit and the water came out, but it was poison. Yeah, there was something like that. It's like God told him to do something and he effed it up. Because that is what every great patriarch pretty much in the Bible did.
Yeah, none of them can compare to the glory of Christ, because all of them were fallible humans.
Anyway, I mean, I don't know how we even got on this subject, but
I don't know. We were talking about the war.
Together some female gunslingers. The one thing the Europeans really, really love about American history, for whatever reason, seems to be that 100 or so years between like 1800 and 1900.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Amish were mad because they were being attacked for selling food. Because when they sell butter, they don't pasteurize the milk. And the government apparently has nothing better to do with their life than, Dave Con, nice. Then F around with a bunch of people living like at 1699, to quote Weird Al.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's like, okay, They do their own thing. They take care of their people. They don't ask for anything. They're not on welfare. They got a thing in the Amish community where they all donate money.
Mm.
If you own a business or a farm and you make money, you donate money into like a pool. And then there's a guy and the elders that kind of control that pool. So if something bad happens to you and you need some money, you can go to the elders and be like, look, I need some money because of this reason. And if they think that your cause is just, they give you the money.
But James, hear me out on this. What if we forced people through taxation to take that money away from them to then mismanage it and only give marginal amounts of it to the people who don't need it and say fuck you to the people who do? Doesn't that sound like a better system?
No. The Amish
Well,
got the better system, 100%.
Oh yeah, of course they did. You know, because the reason why it's a better system is it's a small scale local system and they know everyone. When you have that's why bloated bureaucracies don't work, because they're big.
Plus, if you F up, apparently you can get excommunicated, but they call it shunned.
Mm.
And if you're shunned, no one's allowed to talk to you, no one's allowed to work with you. And when you eat dinner with your family, you have to eat at a different table.
Yeah. It's ostracism.
I mean,
that's
if you own businesses, basically no one will go into your businesses. It's like the worst thing that can happen. And the only thing you can do is eventually have somebody kind of foster you. And then you go to the elders and basically make your case why they should allow you back. And the vote has to be unanimous. So if even one person's like, no, F this guy, then D&D, did Elon talk about D&D on X?
He did.
Yes, he did.
Diversity and Dragons covered it.
Nice. What do you have to say?
I haven't watched the vid yet. I just know I started watching it before I jumped on here.
Elon said, "quote Nobody gets gets to trash Gary Gygax and the geniuses who created Dungeons and Dragons. WTF is wrong with the Hasbro and WOTC."
Yeah, I think Rob Kuntz also backed him up on this. And all I gotta say is, come on, Alexander Macris, you got involved with conservatives before. Let's get you with Elon and have him buy WotC and then put you at the head of Wizards of the Coast. Dude, I want Elon to buy. There was a rumor heard a while ago. Not a while ago, it was a couple days ago, where that Disney stock may plummet to the point where Elon might consider buying it. And I'm like, please let this happen.
Yeah. Well, he told Bob Iger to F off. Like straight up.
Well, they prevented him from, like, the Keir Starmer of England basically prevented Elon from coming into the country for investment purposes, but then they graciously extended an invitation to see how he contributes to the certain bad opinions on Twitter so that he could defend himself.
And
he's like, why the hell would I ever need to defend myself for what other people do? Fuck yourselves. And just, I don't know why.
My favorite recent Elon thing, since we're talking about Elon now,
is Doge.
Is when he made a post to Jaguar and asked them if they sold cars.
One of my
After
funniest,
that weird commercial they did, and he's just like, "You guys sell cars?"
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that what is it? Rolling Stone, not Rolling Stone. It's Stone Toss thing of how will this ad sell more burgers? And then the guy goes, Burgers. Yeah, Stone Toss has been so funny. A decade ahead. He's so funny.
People call him all kinds of names. And the rumor I heard, and this could be a complete and total lie. This is a rumor. This is hearsay. Stone Toss is a black woman.
That would be one of the funniest troll. But you see, as Joe Biden said, remember when he said in 2020, if you don't vote for me, you ain't. So they'll revoke it. They will.
Yeah, they'll take Stone Toss's black card away if he is a black woman.
Yep.
But
Yeah, well-
I mean, people did investigations and shit, and they're like, Stone Toss is a black chick,
I'm like, fairly based. Wouldn't have thought
but
it. But
she's
okay.
still doing all this crazy shit. You know, it's like,
I mean, like, there's this one Stone Toss one. I think that well, if it's true, she did. If it's true,
if it's true, it could be total lies
it could be
that
total
he
bullshit.
did himself just for the fucking
Just shits and giggles. Yeah. Oh yeah. I
just for the
would
giggles,
totally imagine
because,
Stone Toss doing that. Yeah, I could totally see stuff. But there was like this what was it about being like, how can you stand here and say that you're not a bad person? He just like says, "Watch this." Turns to a black girl and goes, "I'm racist," and the girl is like, kind of,
and the black
kinda
chick
turned-
wants the dating.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Satya? I hope everything's awesome for you in Finland. Formerly the Archduchy of Finland, back when you guys were part of the Russian Empire.
Yeah.
But anyway, before the communists screwed everything up,
Oh God. Rest in
already
peace.
posted the Elon vid. Elon coming out in support of like old school D&D.
Was nuts.
That is,
you know Elon
that
probably
was
played
not on
one-
my bingo list for 2024.
Yeah. You know Elon probably played 1E back in the day. You know
Oh,
he
you
did.
know he did.
Oh
That
God.
dude is- that dude is like such an autistic nerd.
Oh yeah.
It's
He was
like,
probably playing Traveler too, given how much he loves space. You know.
oh yeah, he,
Oh yeah.
you know, he had his little clique of other misfits, and they were hanging out playing
Yeah.
whatever they were playing. They could have been playing anything.
Oh yeah.
The
I
new
don't know.
Krieg models got revealed, and they look very good. I mean, Satya, how would you compare them to just the standard Commando box set? Is there anything in them that I'm going to be like, oh my God?
Is this Kriegsman from 40K or a different thing?
For 40K, because
Yeah, but the Krieg always look good. Like they're German stormtroopers. They look awesome.
well, they're actually wearing French jackets and French helmets.
Oh really? I thought
They did when they made the Kriegsmen is they took like World War I Germans and Frenchmen, and they just combined parts of the uniform. So they're carrying the shovels like the Germans do, and their
gas masks.
respirators are like German.
Yeah.
But their horizon blue long coats. That's
they
French.
they are French. You're right.
And the helmet with that ridge down that's a French helmet.
I thought that. The Germans had the spike on them, didn't they?
When they wore helmets, yeah, that was mostly for parade purposes. The
Right.
Whatever you call it. They were made out of leather, lacquered like old firefighter helmets.
I know some of their later helmets were metal to stop the trench spike knives.
The World War I German helmets, when they actually started producing them, were basically stamped metal, and they looked almost identical to the M39s from World War II.
Right.
So, but a lot of these guys would just wear their hats, and the Germans had that, like, it didn't have a bill. It was just kind of like almost looked like what you'd expect sailors to wear.
Right. Okay.
And then the French, of course, had their helmets, which were worthless. I mean, any of the rounds that were being used at the time would go directly right through.
Well, the reason why you wear helmets is not to deflect bullets; it's to deflect
artillery.
Debris. Yeah, from dirt from artillery. That's really all it was. Like they noticed this that there was actually a
our video cards over the next year because of the crazy. Yeah, it's been nuts, Omanal.
I'm still surprised though that Trump got like everything. Like he won everything. If I did say they'd let him in, because let's be frank, if they cheated last time and tried to kill him, they let him in.
Dude, they're cheating right now.
Oh, of course they are. But no, I'm just surprised.
In Pennsylvania, they're counting illegal votes, and they're admitting the votes are illegal.
Yeah,
they've already been told by their local, judges not to do it, and they're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So eventually, it depends. If Trump gets in office and he decides to go hardcore, balls to the wall, every one of those people counting votes in Pennsylvania right now is going to prison. You
Yep.
know, I mean,
That
they are-
AG, that new AG, they just it was part of the campaign. You can guarantee that that's going to fucking happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, are you talking about the blonde chick from Florida?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we loved her down here when she was down here.
Yeah.
I mean, she was like hardcore, no nonsense, do not F around. But that's Florida, you know. If you go online, you can find so many FO videos where people visit Florida from like California or so, you know, and they think or immigrants down here think they're going to do some shit the way they do in New York or California. And Florida cops will show up and just put a beating on them and throw them in the car. And
Yep.
and,
I mean, they
and
deal-
it's just like, this
deal
is
with
not New York or LA. This is Florida.
Like
You have
what
around
they-
down here, you know, you are going to go to jail.
I mean, why wouldn't they? The Florida cops have to deal with meth heads all the time. You know, it's like
Well, they deal with the worst of the worst. We get immigrants down here from these other countries, but you know what? They behave.
wow, they leave their tyrannical, despot-ridden douchebag government, like their shithole government, and they come to a government that doesn't want to kick the shit out of them all the time. Gee, I wonder why they are so grateful. It's a bloody mystery to me.
Like my driver that has driven me to my doctor's appointments,
Right.
like the last 7 times it was a Venezuelan immigrant.
Yeah.
Wasn't part of
wow.
the gang, was behaving himself, had a job. You know what I mean? Because
Well,
this is Florida. You have
you know-
around down here.
You know what's going to happen here? What's going to first happen is they're going to sweep every jail, every prison, every county jail for every illegal immigrant that's sitting in jail, and they're just gonna pass. A judge is just going to sign off and say, "You're gone. You've created a crime. You're gone." I mean, that's just basically what they're going to do, and they're just going to ship those guys out as fast as they can.
Yeah.
You know,
They already said they were.
and then they're just going to keep sweeping those jails, and then they're going to start looking for previous crimes, guys that have already served their time that are illegal immigrants. And they're going to go after them, and then it's just going to go down the line to the regular Joe Schmo that's created a crime, and that's how they're going to pick these people up. And they're going to be gone. So
Yeah.
What's
Like, I mean-
amazing is the people crying about it. It's like, you weren't crying when Barack Obama deported freaking 3 million people, but
No.
now you're crying about this. Get out of here.
To be fair, they probably didn't know that was happening because, you know, the propaganda ministers didn't tell them.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point that you make there.
Yeah, I'm not excusing it. They should know.
Kind of like how they tried to blame Trump for the cages, and then it was like,
Turns out
Barack Obama is the one that made
Yeah,
those
most of
cages,
them-
right?
Most of them genuinely didn't know. They
And it's
genuinely
like,
don't.
they're like, what? No way. And it's like,
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you see, like there's this video I saw of a black guy trying to convince another black guy about why he should vote for Trump, and it's like, well, black unemployment is down under Trump, crime is down, fatherlessness is down. It's like everything that is affecting our community is down, and all the good stuff is up. Why wouldn't I vote for him? It's like, I don't know, like what else? Like they're genuinely stunned. This is the thing that infuriates me about bureaucrats the most. They genuinely do not understand what normal people want. They don't get it.
they live in their own little glass box, their own little thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
little
maybe
echo
they
chamber.
just don't care.
Well, no, so,
I mean,
okay.
at a point, you have to start thinking that if someone is so incompetent, there's like a line where the incompetence becomes malicious.
See, I look at it this way, much like
You
in
know what I
1980
mean? It's
yeah,
like,
if we look at this, like say 1984, right? There's the inner party, the outer party, and the proles, right? Most people on that side are like the proles of that group don't know, the outer party don't understand, and the inner party do not care. The middle ones that we usually deal with, they
have you been
genuinely.
reading like 1984?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to, but yeah, no, the middle group genuinely just they can't conceive that their worldview is wrong, that it's immoral, because they're Puritans. They're fanatics. You know, but the inner party are just psychopaths. They've convinced the outer party that what they're doing is righteous.
Right.
You know, it's just.
And once somebody is convinced of their righteousness, it's really hard to convince them of otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Omanal.
Hey, Omen.
Why you didn't jump in, I don't know. You must be in your underwear. But I love the idea that they floated that they're going to start moving all these departments to like just random places throughout America.
Oh, Grognard
I think that's great. Like the departments they don't get rid of. So like the CIA gets moved out of DC to freaking like Indianapolis or some shit.
I mean, like Razorfist theorizes that the reason why Biden okayed these missiles is to distract Trump.
Well, they were going to move. They were going to move the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. Was it Kansas City or was it Denver, Colorado? Which makes perfect sense. Most of that land is out that way. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and as for the Department of Education, I mean, you could break that place up pretty quick and start giving some of those functions to other agencies like the Department of Labor and stuff like that, and it would fit right in with the mold. You know what I'm saying? So I don't
think they just get rid of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They break it up, but those functions that have to remain, they can move to like the Department of Labor or the Department of Commerce and stuff. And the rest of it, they can just go, well, screw you, we're gone. It's gone, you know.
Gennard Prime says, I'm sure you're he's saying to you and me, James, I'm sure you're both paying attention to whether or not Russia is going to respond more intensely.
They responded, and then Putin said in a speech that they will respond in kind.
I'm just going to say this right now. Zelensky will not get the support he thinks he will from Trump. He won't.
Oh, no. Zelensky's done.
Oh, Zelensky. It's not Zelensky. Zelensky. I said Zelensky of Amber. My bad.
Why am I not wearing my Ushanka? Because it is like 60 degrees here.
60 degrees. Okay. Oh, I don't know what
that for me is perfect. I love it. 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's my, that or colder. I'm in heaven.
Unfortunately, I'm in a country that uses communist Celsius and not freedom Fahrenheit. So,
yeah, I don't know what the Celsius of it is.
Okay, it's like to calculate, like to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit, you go like it's like times 1.8 and add 32, but most people just times 2 and add 30 just to round it. It's a close enough round off. So minus 30, you said. So that'd be about 15 degrees Celsius.
Huh.
Well, yeah, you just do it backwards. You just do it backwards, minus 30, and then divide by 2. So it'd be about 15, I think, anyway.
I'll be right back, gentlemen. I got to step outside for a second.
Okay.
Go for it, man. Go for it, bro.
Yeah, whereas, it's a lot chillier up in Kentucky. A lot chillier up.
Oh yeah, yeah, I was right. Yeah, Omen. It was I was about right. So it'd be about 15-ish. So that's a pretty average day in Ireland, to be honest. About 11 to 16 degrees, and it rains all the time.
Yeah, well, that's why it's so green.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it rains it's rain. Yeah, it's green, but it's also like marshy because it rains all the time. That's
what makes Guinness so good is all the peat water.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, in my setting, you get Guinness by getting Guinness by boiling penguins.
I know you've got those funny birds up in the north that kind of look like penguins.
Oh, yeah, they're pelicans, I think. Or are they toucans? I think they might be toucans.
They almost look like a toucan and a penguin had a baby. They're like
something like that. Yeah. It's weird.
Wasn't that like the national symbol of Ireland for a while? That little thing.
I don't know that. Let me look that up. I didn't hear about that.
I know for a while that bird was very popular. Like they're having Olympics or something, and
yeah, probably. Well, I mean, it's It's the
It's
logo
like
of
an Arctic bird, but it goes to the North Irish coast, and it's got a really colorful look to it.
James. I'm gonna say this right now as a joke to my countrymen, but if an ant was the symbol of the most famous drink in the country, the ant would become the symbol of our country. You know.
Ants are awesome. I've
Oh,
always
yeah,
been
yeah.
a fan of ants. Like I watch the guy in Canada, Ants in Canada or whatever. I watch his videos all the time.
It is the toucan. Yeah, I was right.
Yep. I watch his videos all the time. And that
Who is
dude,
this?
Ants Canada,
Ah,
he builds like these giant terrariums and he puts his ants in them and then basically watches what they do, you know?
Mm.
Like he was super stoked because he got to import some fire ants
uh-huh.
from Florida, but then he had to be really careful because the fire ants can't survive in Canada, you know. If it,
Well,
you
I mean,
know, if
it's
you don't
cold.
keep them relative, well, the fire ants are originally from like South America, and then they got imported up to Florida. Puffins, that's what it is, Iron Man. Puffins, but
Yeah.
they got imported to Florida like with banana crops or whatever, and then they kind of took over because none of the native Florida ants could really deal with a fire ant. I mean, if you step in a fire ant nest, you will know it. They will swarm up you and they
Bite like a
they
motherfucker.
sting.
Yeah.
So they're not just like they'll grab you and sting you. So they're almost like a wasp without wings. And they build huge nests. There can be millions of them in it.
Oh, I looked it up there, James.
Cows flooding?
It's
That
not the
sucks, cow.
it's not the well, the toucan is associated with Ireland because of Guinness, but I think the actual bird you were thinking of was called a lapwing, the northern lapwing, and that was
Yeah,
in.
I think Iron Man and I were both thinking of the puffin,
Oh, I probably. I mean,
which
not
is another one of those really colorful build live
birds.
on the
Yeah.
ocean birds.
Yeah.
Cal also watches. Oh, there is the dude in the Philippines with all the tarantulas. That guy is insane, dude.
I mean, tarantulas aren't dangerous, you know. Well, as far as I know, most of them aren't.
Well, because I've watched him, I've learned there's two kinds of tarantulas.
Mhm.
There's New World tarantulas and Old World tarantulas. And apparently, New World tarantulas, 99% of them are completely harmless to humans.
Right.
The Old World tarantulas are like 99% of them hyper aggressive towards everything.
Oh yeah, but their venom like isn't like highly toxic to us. It's
Unless you're allergic to it.
yeah. Like the worst thing that you have to deal with tarantulas is their hairs. If they get in your eyes.
In Minnesota, nice. That's hunting weather.
Mm.
35 or lower, that's when we go hunting. He's in the Philippines, but he grew up in Canada.
Mm. Yeah.
The UK's launching missiles. Putin launched a freaking ICBM and blew up some big industrial center in Ukraine. And I watched his whole speech. He said point blank, this missile is Mach 10. No one in Europe can stop it. So Russia will respond in kind. If you launch a missile at us, we'll launch a missile somewhere too.
I just find
if you don't launch missiles, we won't launch missiles. But the big thing that he wants to say is it can carry a nuclear warhead, and it's not off the table.
Yeah, I do love the fact that now after like a year plus of like essentially virtually no cover like news coverage of the Russo-Ukrainian war, they were all focusing on what's going on in Gaza. You know, they're now shifting again, and it's like, you know, I've heard some really disturbing shit that both sides, like mainly the IDF, but you know, there's some shit that the Gazans and the Lebanese are doing. But like, of course, most don't hear about this. Gee, I wonder why.
Well, you know why? Because in the Bible, God, through the prophet Nathan, told David to wipe out every single one of the Canaanites.
Mm.
But instead of wiping them out, after they defeated their men, they took the women and their herds for themselves. And the women, of course, brought the Canaanite religion.
Yeah.
And then the Edomites to the south kind of blended in with the Hebrews too. So it's a thing.
Look,
I don't even like to talk about it because people get so
heated
about it. It's like you cannot have. I mean, because if you say one thing, then you got a bunch of maniacs yelling, that you're a pro-Zionist and you hate Palestinians.
Dude, I've seen.
And if you say another thing, then you're a member of Hamas,
and you're an anti-Semite.
That's right. So I don't want to be any part of it.
Yeah, like my stance on it, it was a pointless war, and I'm against states that the British, like apartheid state that the British set up, because every single time they do, it ends in misery and sectarian violence.
Well, that's the entire Middle East.
Well, it's the same. In Ireland, it failed. In India, it failed. In Africa, it failed.
Yeah, because they always just draw lines on maps and they don't take into consideration the tribes or whoever lived there.
Yeah, they don't care.
And then you draw a line straight through the middle of the tribal land of some group, and now
their enemies they're cut in half, and they're enemies
cut in half, and they're sharing a country with the people they hate. That's Iraq. Yep. Like half the people in Iraq hate the other half of Iraq. It's crazy.
It's just
of tribal and religious reasons,
Because these people think that these people are fungible. They're just, it's like the universal man. If we just give them a land of their own and they'll leave each other alone. It's like, no, because they think they're entitled to the other half of the land. It's funny how that works.
Originally when the English come up with the idea of the Israelis having a homeland, first they pitched Uruguay, and the Israelis were like, no. And then they pitched the Middle East, and the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan was supposed to be part of Israel. But the Jordanians were like, nah,
no,
we're not doing it. But they were supposed to be. Israel was supposed to include Jordan.
Yeah.
Now, the thing we're doing that's stupid in America, getting back to America being dumb, is all of the Democrats coming out and accusing Tulsi Gabbard of being like a stooge for Assad. It's like, what? So, but anyway, Elon talked about D&D. That's interesting.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's cool.
Great. That's awesome, man.
I'm coming out and calling people out for insulting the creators. Yeah, that's based as hell. But then again, it's Elon. And Elon, I mean, he is on a trajectory to become the world's first trillionaire.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Not including Vladimir Putin. You always have to make that caveat because no one knows how much money Putin has, but it's probably in the trillions.
Probably.
Because he owns a portion of every gas and oil company. Yeah. So,
he also owns the biggest landmass country on the planet. Like,
yeah, but I'm just talking about like cold hard cash.
Liquid capital, yeah.
It's true. But every time you see him, he never looks like.
I mean, like he was a member of the KGB, so he probably, while he was doing all that shit, was taking personal wealth, and he inherited all the communist valuables after the collapse.
It's like every time you see him, he's just wearing a suit, looking like a guy in a suit.
He hunts bears and plays piano, and he rubs shoulders with some of the wealthiest men on the planet. Like, how do you think he got into the club? He fucking
that's just because all those people want to be with him because they don't want to fly off a building.
He did throw the Rothschild his nephew lived in Russia, and when Putin took over, he threw that dude in prison for 12 years
Not surprising.
because Putin is absolutely the enemy of globalism, and has said it in speeches. He has said there will be no globalism as long as Russia exists.
It is.
Well, what
it
about
is-
then why are they doing BRICS then? BRICS is just another
BRICS
another
is
way-
a trade agreement. That's
I
it.
thought BRICS they wanted to do a currency.
But it's all about just a trade agreement between those countries. So half those countries hate each other.
Yeah, like
Like
Brazil,
India and China are in BRICS. They despise each other.
Like there was literally a controversy with Canada where the Chinese wanted to get like high altitude training in Canada so they could invade India, and the Indians lost their shit with the Canadian government, and the Canadians had to back out at the last second. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, because China wants to invade India for one reason and one reason only: to take their industry. That's what they want. They want to be able to control two of the biggest slave markets on the planet.
Yep.
So,
And you can't underestimate India. I mean, those dudes are putting probes on the moon.
Mhm.
They're building their own domestic tanks that are very good.
if only
Okay.
America and Europe would start doing that, that would be nice.
I mean, and their leader, what's his name, Mahdi, has said that he's willing to trade with anyone.
Hmm.
If you got money and you want something built in India, he will allow you to set a factory up and do it. He
Hmm.
does not give a shit. Build all the factories you want. Yeah, exactly. He even made commercials about it, of him sucking all the industry out of China and India. And the Chinese are all mad about it. And he's just like doing the Hindu thing, because you want to talk about free market and free for all.
I'm just imagining this
Oh,
guy
you
is
are
like,
Indian. Yeah. Their government, if you want to build some shit, they're like, bring it on. We'll help you.
I just imagine the Indian leader, like when it came to China, getting mad over the thing. He's like the head of. He's like in that episode of Simpsons where Apu has to reinstate his Quickie Mart, and after Homer botches the whole thing, all the guy says is "Thank you, come again," over and over and over again. That's kind of how I imagine the Indian government is going with the Chinese.
Well, I mean, it still has issues with their caste system and stuff.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But over the last 20 years, India has had like so many people become billionaires. Like you can start out as a guy living in a village worried about getting ate by a tiger. And if you make the right moves, you can be a millionaire. I mean, India has more people with PhDs than the entire population of the United States.
What actually, I learned this a while ago. But what blows some people's minds?
It's insane.
Like progressives actually lose their minds like that when they learn of stuff like, yeah, Saudi Arabia graduates more women into STEM field than the West does.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
But anyway, yeah, nothing but love for India, even though I don't know if I'd want to go there, because I watched Idiot Abroad. And when he went there, he had like diarrhea the whole time he was
Oh
there.
yeah, no, don't
Poor
eat
Carl
food.
Pilkington. He just could not handle the curries.
Do not eat the street vendors. I've actually seen videos of street vendors who make ice cream handle the ice cream
Don't
with their
eat the
bare
street
hands.
food. See?
Yeah, it's like,
We got the Indian person in chat being like, don't eat the street food. Yeah.
don't do it.
But I specifically have always had a deep and abiding love and respect for the Sikh.
How
Just
come?
because throughout history, they have always been badasses.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
The country
I love the Sikh. And
You
it
know, the
was a
country
Sikh
I'm looking
doctor that actually removed the cancerous tumor from my mom.
But
What about Sikhs in Canada? I can't answer that question. I don't live in Canada.
One sec, Vic wanted to say something. What were you saying there, Vic?
I said the country that I am most looking at is Argentina, with that new leader of theirs down there and how he's crushing inflation and everything else. If he makes the right moves down there, Argentina will be almost like India and China. I mean, they will start a production revolution down there. It'll be amazing.
He's already doing a lot of stuff. That dude,
I know.
Javier. Yeah, that dude is already. Do you know back in like the 1980s in Argentina, the government had to pass a law that said everyone had to speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Because apparently in the southwest of Argentina, there's mountains, right? And there were tons of villages in these mountains where the people only spoke German.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh,
And
in
they said
Argentina.
if you walked into one of these villages, you would think you were in Bavaria.
I'm like, oh wow, Argentina, and there's a lot of Germans there. I wonder how that
I
happened.
know, but the point is, you
I
would
know.
walk down the streets and every house would look like you're in Bavaria, you know, with the cross timbers and
Yeah.
So eventually the government had to pass a law saying that every school had to teach Spanish
Man,
because like a third of their country didn't even understand the
I
main
would
language.
love. Man,
Where
if
are
I
you
could-
guys from, if you don't mind asking? I live in Orlando, Florida currently, but I am originally from Kentucky.
I am from the Republic of Ireland.
Yep, he's a Republican from
Mhm.
Ireland.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm in the land of 10,000 mistakes and 10,000 taxes and 10,000.
10,000 late. Hey, the good news is if you ever wanted to hang out with Jeremy Hambley, you're in the same state as him.
Who's Jeremy Hamley?
The quartering.
Oh, him. Right.
No, I don't know.
He
who he
lives
is.
he lives in Minnesota.
He's one of the big like anti woke.
He's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Oh.
He basically covers like current events on like media and politics. It's like lefty and shit. He's just pointing out the real dumbasses. He's a bit more milquetoast than James or I, but it's whatever.
Yeah. He's never going to say anything that's going to offend anybody.
Which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like whatever, dude. Do you
I was
think?
watching some woman from Britain. She's doing some news on X, and it was funny. She was making jokes about everything British, and she's talking in a British accent, just laughing my ass off about, she poked the bear just right, and I'm surprised she hasn't went to jail in Britain because of those.
They jail more people in
someone-
Britain than they do in Russia.
Hey, James, I think someone is in the backyard or the
A grim.
Yeah.
All right. They jail more people in England than they do in Russia for like thought crimes and shit.
yeah.
How you doing, Grim?
I'm doing great.
How goes,
All
dude?
right. Are
No,
you
I was-
nobody wants to show their
are
face.
you
They're
the
all
guy
afraid
from
of themselves.
India?
Yeah, I'm the guy from India.
Nice.
I think Lathis is here too, as well, in the back.
Is Leth here too?
Yep. He just
My brother from Kentucky.
Up.
Hello. Talk
Hey,
about
Lance.
the British lady. I think I've seen her before on PDP podcast.
I like watching Australian news. They've got this lady on. I guess she escaped from Iran, but she always does like lefties losing it, and she's fun to watch. The Australian news, but Grim. I watch Indian news a lot because I feel like the Indian news is more real, like not telling lies than most of the Western news. You know what I mean?
That is incorrect. My father works in media.
Incorrect. The Indian news lies worse.
Yeah, they are far right.
Well, I mean, I don't even know
mean,
what far right means anymore.
I mean, the owners of those news agencies, all of them are owned by businessmen, which are affiliated to the current government, of course.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, that's how America is. Like
How
every
Ireland
one
is
of our
too.
news agencies is owned by like 5 companies.
Yeah.
The RTE is owned directly by the government. So
Right. So it's like
Yep.
whether you're watching ABC, Fox, whatever, Disney, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's like these big megacorps that own them all.
I mean, doesn't Disney own like MSNBC?
I
Or
think
is it-
Disney owns ABC or MSNBC or
Yeah,
Comcast or
I don't know, something like that.
You guys see this? Conor McGregor was found liable for assault in an Irish civilian court for
Yep.
a sexual encounter. What do
Yep.
you mean?
A guy who gets repeatedly smashed in the head professionally might be a tad violent. Gee, now you'll tell me that water is wet.
No.
This is all. I'm just saying these are allegations. I'm just saying.
I'm like, who said she didn't want it that way? And then when it got a little too rough, she decided to
I
call
don't
the
know.
cops. You know what I
As
mean?
far as I know, I have no idea what happened until the court says he's guilty or innocent. I'm just saying that I've seen cases like this before where guys who get into MMA are a tad violent. So it could go either way for me. I don't know.
Wait, drunk Irish guy beats his wife?
I know,
Maybe
right?
better
Yeah,
than-
yeah. Some stereotypes are a tale as old as time.
I mean, didn't there used to even be like a comic in America about that?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Possibly, yeah.
What was it? The guy always was hanging out at the pub, and then his wife would come, and they'd get into a big fight. Andy Capp.
Oh yeah.
He used to be like in every newspaper in the 80s. And the whole deal was him sneaking off to the pub and his wife finding him and whipping his ass. That was like the whole thing.
Here's the thing, though, James. And I don't mean this bad per se, but what I'm saying is that how do I want to say this? Let me just say that some women use the law to their advantage too much. Let's put it that
Yep.
way. And,
Yep.
and they purposely do it. My ex-wife is a one of those people who used it so much that the law finally said, "Don't bother calling us ever again. We know we didn't do it." You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
we lost a grim.
It's so crazy. My first ex-wife, because I'm an optimist, so I've had many ex-wives. She took me to court so many times that eventually the judge told her he was going to put a mark on my case that it would always come to him, and
Yeah.
that if she didn't stop, he was going to throw her in prison because it was obvious that she was using the
I think it's called
state to
violence.
punish me.
I think
Yeah,
it's called
abusing the court
violence by
system.
proxy or something. I think that's the legal term for it is violence by proxy or something like that. Or
Yeah,
murder.
Yeah,
my
when I'm
ex-wife-
minding my business, doing my work, and the next thing I know, I've got to go to court for some shit. I mean, she would, since I had
Hey,
custody of our
a Grimm's
kids,
back.
Oh, agree.
okay. Since I had custody of my kids, you will need to connect a mic and cam before you can enter the stream. It's not letting me add him.
Listen, actually, I got a jet. I got a jet anyway, guys. So it was a great talking with you. I might jump in the next one,
Stay
right?
in Dark
All
Knight.
right, see you,
All
Dark.
right, see you later, Dark
Or
Knight.
whoever was going. Anyways, yeah, my ex-wife.
There
did
he
that,
is.
And they how did that? She dismissed the case with prejudice. The last time we were in there, it was like, yeah, this is a big waste of everybody's time.
So I have a restraining order on my first wife that is for life.
Jesus criminy, that judge did not like your ex-wife at all, did she?
No. And because she has that restraining order, she can never own a gun.
Oh,
So she's like super mad. Like when I went to buy a rifle one time, they didn't want to give it to me because they mistook which one of us had the restraining order.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I had to point out on the sheet that I have the restraining order against her.
Right.
At which case they redid the thing and they're like, yeah, he can own it,
Yeah.
but
Oh.
Grim, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
You doing great? Well, good to hear. Good to hear. It's very interesting to have somebody from, halfway around the globe.
Yeah. Is
The
there?
first thing I got to ask you is, how do you feel about that rap dude that blew up big in America? What's his name? Hannah Mankind.
Oh, I mean, I don't think so. He likes India much. He's from Kerala.
Yeah, but he was doing the whole video in India, I think.
Yeah, he was.
And that dude blew up over here. It was like the day the video come out, like everybody was talking about him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that I haven't listened to my share of Bollywood songs too, and everyone over here loves Tanuk Ton, but I think he's from Pakistan. I'm not sure.
He's half Indian and half American.
Is he?
He's
So-
from Florida, actually, as far as I know.
So, are you in the north, like in Punjab, or are you in the south?
I'm in Delhi.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
Orlando, so Disney World
That's great.
is the big thing everybody knows about here. But I never go, even though I've lived here for like decades now. I don't really care. I'd rather go fishing.
Is there any age limit in this VC?
Any age
Seems like-
limited what?
Is there any age limit in this chat?
Yeah, all of my chats are not for children.
I mean, I'm 15 though.
I wouldn't know it. But we don't talk about anything but games and sometimes American politics.
I mean, I'm interested in geopolitics, so if you want, I can be here.
It's up to you. I really I let anybody join that wants to. You know what I mean? Geopolitics. I mean, I'm a fan of India versus China, and I like how India's whipped Pakistan's ass like 5 times. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would say I'm pro-Indian in that part of the world.
That's great.
I don't know why we don't, as Americans, I don't know why we don't work harder to make stronger alliances with India, but
I mean, yesterday USA almost broke it.
what's that?
Yesterday USA almost broke our relations.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like, why would we make relations with China instead of India? It makes no sense. Why would we constantly try to antagonize Russia? Makes no sense. But the
Did you
people who rule over us are not good people, most of them.
Yeah,
Did you see the news?
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah. And then when you see the news, it's like nothing but lies. I heard that ABC's laying off like half their people and trying to sell MSNBC.
Yeah,
Basically, the US government gave a I think momentum or something to the biggest businessman in India. His name is Adani. So they charged him on the bribery case. So I think the relations are gonna keep plummeting from now on.
Well, that's unfortunate. I know I read about a dude that got super rich with cell phones over there.
He's in the power industry.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah,
talking about
Adani,
Mukesh
Adani
Ambani.
was a victim of that. What's the name of that company? They were trying to short sell his stock, and they were giving out
Yeah,
bad
I know.
reports about it. That was a cluster F by the Securities and Exchange Commission. You can just say you don't have to worry about that hardly anymore because Gary Gensler's gone. He's already turned in his resignation for January 20th. He wants to escape the Washington D.C. before Trump gets in the office before he gets arrested. So
Yeah,
I
So
think
like
there's quite a few
yesterday,
people in our government that are going to get arrested
so like
Oh,
yesterday
after
they
January.
charged him $250 million for on a bribery case.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like England wanting to throw Elon Musk in prison
Exactly.
because he believes in free speech in America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Elon Musk and anyone on his website apparently.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
mean,
well, then
There-
I'm
Americans,
good as
we're going to go
gone.
over there to arrest you for our free speech, our hate speech laws.
Yeah,
Good luck with
that one guy talking about extraditing people, and it's like, F you guys, didn't we whip you in a war? You
Yeah.
know, so I mean,
Then next time I go to England, if I ever go to England, I'm good as jailed because I've been commenting about some of the nonsense I've seen over there on Radio Genoa. That
You
exit
couldn't
now.
pay me to go to England.
nah, I would never go anywhere to the UK
I have
Yeah.
I have a
because I
stepbrother
might
that's
say
over there.
something, and the next thing you know, they want to throw me in jail for 3 years because
Oh, hey,
I'm religious and I
they've done
don't
that
agree
to
with their
a
bullshit.
they've done that to an African missionary who went over there to preach.
Yeah.
Forgot where he was from.
If
But I
I
feel
could go
sorry for that guy.
anywhere, well, I wanted to go to Russia, but then a war broke out.
Yeah.
So hopefully, when that's done, I'll finally get to go to St. Petersburg and Moscow. But otherwise, I would like to vacation in Greece. I think that would be really nice. I mean, if we're
France
talking
is
places we would want to go, I'm thinking
I want to
Greece.
do Istanbul, James. I'd do Istanbul in a heartbeat just because of all the history. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a city that's just built on history. It's been, I mean, since time immemorial, people have been crossing that land bridge and crossing the river there to get into Europe and stuff like that. It's just, you know, it's just one of those places in history that
Well, it was a huge trade center between India and the Far East and Europe.
Constantinople.
Yeah, that's what I call it. He calls it Istanbul, but as an Orthodox Christian, I call it Constantinople.
That's great.
And we have a belief that one day it will be Constantinople again.
Hopefully.
But we'll see, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Alexander walked through there on his way to India and then turned around and come back the wrong way through the desert, and half his men died. But hey, whatever. He
Yeah.
still conquered the known world by the time he was 24 years old. So that's kicking a lot of ass right there. But yeah,
Chile
modern
wasn't able to.
geopolitics makes no sense. It's like you would think America would be working side by side, hand in hand with like Russia. Because, if Russia and America had a strong alliance, then China would be completely screwed.
Yeah, they'd be isolated. But here's the
And
thing.
then if we moved all of our companies out of China into India, and the Indians would love it, Modi would be like so happy, then China would go back to the Stone Age because they wouldn't have anything. I mean, their entire economy depends on, export to the U.S. And yet they hate our guts. Whereas I can honestly say I've never in the United States met a West Asian or Sikh or whatever, any of them, and been like, damn, I hate that guy. You know what I mean? They're always so nice when you meet them. It's like whether we went to a Indian restaurant a couple weeks ago, and the people who took care of us were like the nicest human beings you ever met. And I ordered the lamb vindaloo, and it was amazing. But I like vindaloo a lot. Vindaloo is my favorite food. You're muted. I agree. You're muted.
There's also another factor that mostly South Asians use Indians' name to sell outside. So like Pakistanis use Indians' name to sell in USA.
Well, I actually went to a Pakistani restaurant once, and they were straight up Pakistani. Their vindaloo was okay, but the Indian vindaloo from the Indian restaurant was better. And also the servers at the Pakistani restaurant, we went like a party of 8. They were not very nice. They were, they were professional, but they weren't friendly. And the Indian restaurant, they were friendly. They were like chatting us up. It was just a good experience.
I mean,
and like I said,
Pakistanis.
my mom had cancer, and the doctor who saved her life was Sikh.
That's great.
Yep, in Kentucky. Whoever knew there would be a Sikh surgeon in Lexington, Kentucky? But there is. He's there, and he's who she goes to see.
Yeah.
But what did you want to talk? What is your big interest in geopolitics? And then we'll tell you the wrong thing about it if we can. Because we're Americans. We kind of focus on how much eggs costs more than geopolitics most of the time.
I don't support Khalistanis in Canada.
I don't even know. We usually have a Canadian guy that's like on the streams all the time, but he never mentions that. And he always says where he lives in Montreal, he says like he loves the Indians there. So I don't know the thing you're talking about. I don't even know what it is. You would have to explain it better.
I think you must have heard about it. Some Sikh person got killed, and the Canadian government was blaming it on the Indians.
On the Hindus?
On the Indians. On the Indian government.
Like the Native Americans.
Yeah. The Canadians.
In Canada, they call them First Nation for some reason.
Oh.
Do you think that First Nation people killed the Sikh man?
The Canadian government, I mean, Justin Trudeau was saying that Indian government ordered their people to kill the Canadian citizen who was a Sikh.
I'm sorry, here in America, I don't think I've heard anything about it. If anyone else has, I mean,
I haven't.
Yeah, and you live almost in Canada.
Yeah.
Well, they're more concerned around here about other crap. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Somalis.
Yeah. The latest thing about India about here is the smuggling of Indians from Canada into the United States for they just convicted some guys that smuggled 11 people over, and let's see, they smuggled a group of 11. A family of 4 died, and they convicted them for doing the smuggling because they did it in the middle of winter time and not enough equipment and stuff. I mean, just stupid shit. So,
well, I wouldn't call certain people like fake Christians. I know in the Orthodox Church, it is absolutely forbidden to do yoga. 100%. But were they importing Indian ladies for like sex trafficking or something?
No, they're just a family wanted to come over to settle here in the States. So they had flown to Canada. They went to Winnipeg. Then they took a car to the border, and then instead of going through proper channels, they decided to walk across the border in the middle of a Minnesota blizzard in the wintertime.
I mean, millions of Mexicans are coming every day.
Yeah, well, that's
gonna be another story here in about I don't know. 60 days.
Just wait till January. A lot of this stuff is gonna. I mean, Mitch McConnell basically froze in the middle of a speech, so I think his CPU is over. And even though he's from my home state, that guy needs to go.
Yeah.
Are you a Republican?
He's a Republican, but he's a never Trumper Republican.
He's like the old school like Rhino type of crap.
Yeah, he's like the George Bush, let's invade Iraq all the damn time Republican. And he don't like Trump because Trump don't want to invade anybody. So, see, the Republican Party in America isn't the party that a lot of people think it is. It's two parties. It's the people like Trump who are actually populists and they don't want all the bullshit and they want peace and they want trade and they want, and then the neocons who all they want is war all the time with everybody. And Mitch McConnell is a freaking neocon. Just like the Cheneys, they're practically freaking war criminals. Which is why I was like, when they decide to support Kamala Harris, and it was all like 6 months ago, you were trying to get these people thrown in jail for war criminals, and now you're holding them up like, hey, look, these guys support me. And then Kamala, even though she's not black, tried to say she was black, but she's Indian. And personally, she probably would have had a better chance at getting elected if she went with the Indian thing than the black thing. But it's not like we haven't like elected Indian immigrants or people like that to offices. We do all the damn time. The guy that Trump wants to put in charge of the DOJ or some shit is Indian. His last name is Patel.
Kash Patel.
Right. So, I mean, why she tried to fake that shit, I don't know. But Candace Owens did a whole genealogy on her.
Wasn't she more
And-
Irish than black too? Something like that.
She was 100% Indian from the Brahmin class or something like that.
Are you talking
thought
about
Not her
Are you talking
paternal
about
grandfather
Kamala
was-
Harris?
Say again, Agrim?
Are you talking about Kamala Harris?
Yes, she was Brahmin.
She is half Indian and half Jamaican.
The guy that they say is her dad isn't her dad. And the woman they say is her mom ain't her mom.
How is that possible?
Come on. Well, people fake shit all the time, man. People fake stuff all the time. Like half of the people you see on American TV, whatever name they say they are, that's not their name. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Like, I'll give you an example. What's his name on Late Night? He's a funny guy. He's been in funny movies too. What's his damn name? Come on, help me out. He was in the movie with Dave Chappelle,
I don't
smoking
know.
a joint. Who?
I don't know on this one.
John Stewart. John
Oh,
Stewart.
John Stewart.
Yeah, his real name is like Lev Cohen. But then he invented the name John Stewart. And in America, that's very common. So, Oh, I saw somebody make a joke that Trump's beat more women than what's his name? The guy that beat his wife so bad. You remember when that black dude beat his like really famous wife really bad, and he was really famous singer too.
Oh, you mean Ike Turner?
Whoever it was, they're like saying that Trump's beat more women than this guy. It's
Ike Turner.
It's like, damn.
He beat up Tina Turner.
He used to abuse her. Yoga, Sanskrit, which is an incredibly ancient language. The reason that the Orthodox Christians don't do yoga is because yoga and yogi, every form represents a god or an energy or something, right? So the Orthodox consider it to be like heretical, like you're worshiping another god. So they don't do yoga.
What about the 30 million Christians in India?
That's a lot of them. That's a lot. Probably more than in America, really, real Christians.
I mean, I'm sure they do yoga.
Do they?
I
Yeah.
have seen some.
Wonder if they'd be Orthodox or not. They might.
Yeah,
be Catholic.
that's the thing. Like, Orthodox Christianity, Grim, is like the most strict form of Christianity.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I say, what's the difference between Pilates and yoga? Both the same to me.
Yeah, you know what though? When you see Orthodox Christians working out, where is it? Oh, it's over there. I'm not going to get up. It's like in a gym, pushing iron, using kettlebells, listening to chants. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just a different culture. See, like right here, I've got my light kettlebell so that sometimes I'll take a break from painting and I'll do curls. So there's no religious aspect to this, except that I want to get my biceps bigger so that I look better for my wife, you know? And she's all like, look, she already likes that I got rid of the old haircut I had. So if I
What,
would
you want
shave,
bald?
she would be super happy. She hates my beard.
What
But-
are your
If your wife is listening, it's called Nair Honey in a shampoo.
Nair, yeah. But about twice a year, I shave my beard. This is like what, 3 or 4 months? Because I shaved it a couple months ago, but my hair grows really quick. I don't know if that's like Slavic blood or Scandinavian blood, because that's my ancestor.
I mean, you look a little bit Irish. Yeah,
Yeah, I look Irish.
I mean, have you done a DNA test?
Well, I am pasty, and I will burst the flames if I'm in the sun too long.
That happened.
But that's because I spend so much time indoors, and I'm one of those guys that loves cold weather.
Okay.
So where I live, it gets cold. Not as cold as where Vic lives. Where Vic lives, it gets like Antarctic cold. But where I live, it gets below 0. And I love it. I go out and roll around in snow, maybe shoot a deer or a pig, you know, whatever I'm doing.
Agram, I just think he's a little psychotic for doing that.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
That's what my wife says. And she's a Dane, Denmark. And she's like, why do you love the cold so much? And I'm like, I've even said, when I'm super old and I know I'm going to die, I just want to walk up my mountain one last time and like lean up against a tree with my rifle across my lap and die.
Damn.
And I hope my brother or somebody who loves me would be there with me. I feel like that would be the best death for me. You know, I thought I would probably get killed in Iraq, but I didn't because, you know, apparently I'm bulletproof.
You were in the military.
Huh?
You were in the army.
I was in the army and I spent a year in Saudi Arabia and Iraq. I was an infantryman in a Bradley. Bradley's was my thing, but I was dismount. So when the ramp drops, I would run out. And then the Bradley would back away to provide covering fire. So yeah, I was in combat in Iraq, and then when I got out of the army, I kind of bummed around for a long time and didn't do much of anything. And then I decided one day to become a firefighter. So I went to firefighter school, and I managed to pass. A lot of people didn't, and I got hired and become a firefighter.
That's great.
And then
So
that's
were you
what
like,
I did, you know.
were you like during the Saddam Hussein time?
I think that removing Saddam Hussein was probably made things worse than if we had just beat his ass and left him there.
And what
Because
about
it just turned into like a bunch of warlords, you know.
the situation in Libya?
Muammar
That was the
Gaddafi needs to
Clintons,
go.
and
He
they
needs to
went in
go.
there and they CIA operation. They killed Gaddafi, who was probably the only person who could keep those people in check. and now they're just running amok. There's like slave where they actually sell African slaves for like $50 for a male. I mean, Libya is a shithole, and it's 100% because Hillary Clinton and Biden were mad because the Libyans were saying they weren't going to sell their oil for US dollars anymore. So they had to get rid of it. And they just turned the country. Now it's like terrorist organizations run the oil lines, and, you know, it's just stupid. But again, I mean, me personally, even though I fought in a foreign war, I'm not an interventionist. You know, unless a country directly attacks the United States, I don't believe in getting involved in every little thing going on, you know? I'd much rather just, I'm a Jeffersonian, you know, like Thomas Jefferson. I believe you don't make treaties with anyone, but you trade goods with everyone.
So like basically India.
Right.
Switzerland.
Just stay out of other people's business and try and sell them shit and buy stuff from them. And I think if everyone would just accept that, people would be a lot happier. But unfortunately, the West over the last 100 years has felt like, well, you know, you're Indian. So the English were there for like 100+ years. You know, and it's like the West has just really felt a need to get involved in stupid shit every now and then, you know, like Iraq. I consider the Iraq war, both of them, to be a total, it was nonsense. We killed millions of them. We lost a couple hundred or thousand, whatever. And at the end of the day, what changed? Nothing. Everything's actually worse over there than it was before we showed up.
Same with Afghanistan.
Yeah, Afghanistan, same thing. We were over there for 15 years killing those dudes. And then our current government fumbled the withdrawal. And the next day, the Taliban were in charge anyway.
And they came back
They
stronger.
weren't scared of anything when we withdrawn.
Yeah,
they
we
knew
did
they knew
nothing.
Biden wouldn't do shit.
We did
Biden
nothing to help that country.
Yeah,
what a shit show. I agree, Mobius. It was a shit show. And then, and Trump's talking about court-martialing these guys, whichever general gave the order that sent the Reaper drone that killed all those children, because apparently someone made a bad call and they used a drone to bomb a bunch of kids that were standing around a truck trying to get water, and no one got in trouble. But Trump saying, oh no, we're going to investigate that shit, because that's straight up like, you know, you're not allowed to make that kind of mistake. I mean, 12 people just died that didn't need to, you know. But our whole involvement in the middle, I can tell you why. Grim. We get into these wars and we want them to last a long, long time, so that the people in our country that make weapons can sell weapons. And then they become multi-billionaires. The hillbillies and hood rats and whatever on the ground, the poor people fighting the war, they get nothing. The country we're fighting in gets nothing. It's like, you know what I mean? And those are the neocons I was talking about. They want to start a war because they know if we can get involved in a war, and the longer they can keep it going, the more they can sell stuff. And it's all paid for by U.S. tax money. And then, of course, Congress people like Nancy Pelosi, since she knows which businesses are doing what, she can do insider trading and make $100+ million from stocks, because she knows every company that to buy the stocks from, because she knows who's going to get all the money from the government. So it's super corrupt. It's super corrupt over here.
You must like Trump because he's going to withdraw, right?
Well, you know, like in India, you could pay off a police officer, a low-level police officer, without a problem. And over here, it's a lot harder to do that. But you can pay off that politician, and the politician will turn around and tell the police what to do. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the way it is here. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like if you were to come to America, I don't know if you've ever been, you would, depending on where you went, 99% of the time, you would meet the nicest people ever. You know what I mean? Like they would be like, how are you? You know, everyone would wave, how you doing? Everyone would be super nice. But our politicians are scumbags. And for some reason, we keep voting them in. You know, it's weird, you know? And
Yeah.
then people in other countries, they think Americans are all maniacs running around in the street, six gunning and shit. It's like,
Yeah.
no. And I even live in a state where you can carry guns all the time, anywhere. But it's not like we're killing each other in the street or anything. That shit don't happen, except in Chicago. Don't go to Chicago. You know.
Sure.
You know, in the United States, I'm going to tell you, Agrim, you drive down the street, if you see bars on windows, you're probably in the wrong hood.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to tell. It's like, oh, bars on windows, I'm in the wrong hood. I got to get out of here. You know,
Like in Chicago, on an average holiday weekend, they get 100+ shootings.
Damn.
But no one does anything about it because it's black people shooting black people.
Yeah.
So the powers that be don't care. They don't want to go into the hood and try and straighten them out. So they just let them do whatever they want in South Chicago. And then when they talk about taking away people's guns, they never mention South Chicago or the liberal areas, which are the worst for gun crime. You know,
Yeah.
if you go to like the middle of like a redneck state like Kentucky, not a lot of gun crime. And everyone has 3 guns on them at all times.
oh shit, go to North Dakota, where I'm from.
Yeah,
everybody's
North
got 5
Dakota,
guns.
everybody's got a gun,
Yeah.
walking around with an AR or an AK-47. Not a lot of gun crime.
Yeah.
What about
But you go to
California?
the cities that have been ruled over by Democrats, and them dudes are shooting each other left, right, and center like it's their job.
Here's a rule for you, Agrim. The closer you get to the tallest buildings, the more crime you're going to have. Period. That's just the way it is. The taller the buildings, the more crime you're going to have. Minneapolis, Chicago,
New York.
LA, New York, San Francisco. They all have big crime problems, and they're run
Yep.
by liberals, and they're all run by liberals,
And they have been for like 100 years.
Yep. It's just, you know.
Like the state of Illinois absolutely hates the city of Chicago. Like if you go to Illinois, like out away from Chicago in the country, they're just normal people like me. But Chicago is full of maniacs, depending on where you go.
Damn.
I don't know how your cities work. I do remember watching a thing about a guy who was low caste, and he used to like pull people around in like I forget the name of it, but you sit in it and they pull you around. And
I
this
mean,
guy
that
made
was in
like
A rickshaw.
a rickshaw thing, and he made like $1 a day or something. And he had
That
a big
was in the-
family, but he was happy.
That was
But
in the
he was also
2000s.
the lowest caste.
That was in the 2000s. So like in the north, there's almost no caste system, but in the south, it is still prominent.
Yeah, it was in the South. He was definitely from the South.
But if you are like powerful or something, and you go to a court and uh, like to a case, so like even if you say a word of mouth, like let's say someone is from the lower caste, and they go to the Supreme Court and say that this person called me lower caste or something, they without any parole or something, they would almost directly get jail time. So like it's a bit strict there. And also there is around 30 or 40% reservation in every exam or something.
So they're trying to get rid of the caste system.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. The other thing I know I've seen in India is they like to buy gigantic ships from other countries and then like just ram them on the beach and cut them apart.
Isn't
I
that
haven't heard about this.
no?
Yeah.
That's I thought that was Pakistan where they do that.
The one I saw was India, and the guy come from the village and got a job, and they paid like, I would think of it as nothing, but for him it was huge because he could support his family back home in the village. And they just got like these giant like cruise ships, and they just cut them to pieces and then sell the metal, the scrap.
I saw this in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, yeah, it could
Yeah.
be, it could be, which
Where's
used
this?
to be
I'm gonna
East
put the name of the place
Pakistan, but
here. Where is this place?
Bangladesh.
Along Sasia? Where where they say the world's largest shipbreaking yard is.
Elan Sasia. I don't know. I just was watching a show when I was in the doctor's office waiting to go in,
Yeah.
and they had the TV on, and I was watching it, and these dudes were up there like they go in and strip everything out, and then they just start cutting the ship with
Alang Sosia
torches.
is in India only,
Yeah.
but I've
Well,
never heard about it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's in
I mean,
India. It's in the state of Gujarta or
Gujarat.
Gujarat. Yeah.
Yeah.
nice.
So
Have you ever played any like role-playing games or anything? Or are you just interested in like politics?
I mean, on the side, I also run a business, a small agency.
At 15?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
I
At
mean, we are not
15,
doing.
American kids are still in middle school or some shit.
Yeah, I'm in school as well. I'm in 10th grade. So that's like high school in first year of high school in USA.
10th grade is, I think, the second year.
We
9th,
have till
10th, 11th, and 12th.
yeah,
And
we have
then,
till 12th area.
and then if you get like really good grades or something, you might get a scholarship and be able to go to college. Or you pay your way, or you borrow a lot of money.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never went to college. I went straight into the Army, and then I went through trade schools.
that's great.
So I never accrued any debt from my education at all.
That's amazing.
So yeah, thank you. But 15 owning your own business and going to school is impressive.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
I
You've
have
been
a
a
team of,
you've been a very good kind of guest,
thanks.
You're very interesting to hear what you think.
I don't personally hate Pakistanis. Like I have a team of 15 people, and like 5 of them are Pakistanis. So like we are working together and like building something.
The main thing I know about that is I was reading a article about the top 10 most badass people in all of history.
Yeah.
And one of them was an Indian guy that apparently got shot a bunch of times, climbed a cliff, up a mountain, and then killed a bunch of Pakistani guys who had machine guns with a rock.
Yeah, I know
And
that.
he ended up getting like the highest medal you can ever get in India.
Yeah.
He was on the list of the top 10 most badass guys in the world. He got shot like 7 times.
Yeah.
So, of course, I think number 1 was Samo Hayek, which is the Finnish sniper that killed 350 enemy soldiers in like
Russians, right?
months. Yeah, it's when Russia invaded Finland.
That was during the World War One, I guess.
Yeah, this guy was like, he lived through it too, even though he got shot in the face by a 20 millimeter exploding round. It blew half of his face off, and he still walked back to base, and
Yeah.
they patched him up as best as he could, and then he become like a horse breeder, a farmer.
His camouflage was pretty phenomenal. Like inside a like beside a tree, he had a camouflage. So like he was just lying there for hours and hours and days.
Uh-huh. He never used a scope because he didn't trust him. So he was sniping with iron sights.
Damn.
Yeah. A badass dude. But I am currently putting together, I haven't put the heads on them yet, female Wild West figures. Like this one's got a double barrel shotgun.
Where's the head?
I haven't put the head on yet because they come on these sprues.
Okay.
So like you glue on each part. So I haven't went through and saw which heads I like the best or not, But yeah, the Wild West is a thing. I like the Wild West. But I recently bought a game about pirates in the Caribbean. And this is the crew nationality starter set. I decided to go with the British. But you could go with the Spanish. You could go with the Dutch. You could go with the Carib Indians, pirates. But yeah, when I played pirate on the computer game, I always played the British.
What games do you play?
Online now, the game I've put the most time into. Let me look at my screen. Surviving Mars.
Oh, that's a good game.
Yeah, I have it on Steam, and I have the expansion where you can go underground, or you can try to mine asteroids around Mars. So, I mean, right now I'm doing okay, but usually this game, something will happen, and then all your people will just die, and then you lose. So, like I had to work really hard to grow a special plant to cure a disease because all of the people were dying from a disease, and so I had to fix that, and it had accidentally got imported to Earth, so I had to grow a bunch of stuff and import it to Earth to keep Earth from dying. But it's a very good game. And the other game I play, and I've already beat it like once, and now I'm just playing it just to waste time, is Subnautica.
I played that too.
Yeah, I play it just because I like to find weird places to build bases.
Okay.
I didn't pay my Comstar bill. I always pay my Comstar bill, Mad Cat. If you don't pay your Comstar bill, then Comstar shows up. And believe me, you don't want them to show up.
Oh.
That's a BattleTech thing. And BattleTech, the people who control all the interstellar communication are called Comstar. And if you don't pay them for the use of the hyperlink whatevers, they send mechs to destroy you.
Damn.
I mean, they're going to get their money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're going to get their money. So
basically, like the IRS.
Because they got all the old school technology that most other people have forgotten about. So they got better weapons and everything.
What does Vic do for a living?
A mech?
Vic. I don't know his name.
Oh, Vic. What does he do for a living?
Yeah.
Little of everything. Actually, we used to own a semi truck, a truck driver, and then I also design and build games and stuff like that. And that's what I've been doing while you guys have been yapping away here. I've been punching away at the computer. So
that's great. What language do you use to make games?
English.
Can you repeat?
Oh, English.
No. Wait. I thought you coded the game.
Oh, no. When he's talking about games, he's talking about role-playing games. Like like Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe a war game like Saga or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when me and you were just talking gaming like Subnautica, that's computer gaming. But in America, some of us like to play fantasy role play games.
Hmm.
And you know, and there are people who create those things, and that's what he's doing.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I just got done with a project. Now I'm getting quotes, and that's what I've been doing while you guys have been
Quotes on art.
quotes from printers to get it done, and then I'm doing a little Kickstarter nonsense to get that all framed up, and I probably by next week I'll have it up and going so people can buy the latest deck. And then I'm working on another deck of cards that will be so it makes it easier for dungeon masters. All my aids help dungeon masters so that they don't have to work so hard, or game masters work so hard, so that they can go, hey, I just got a deck of cards here. I'm holding it up to the players. Pick one. Let's see what happens to you. Look at the
Yeah.
draw. You know what I mean? Instead of rolling dice, it's like, here you go. You know, you don't have to worry about the nonsense. And then I also have a game convention that I put on every year called DaveCon, which I'm trying to get James a goddamn commit to.
You're too far away, man.
Hey, somebody said they drive you up here, so I don't want to hear no more excuses.
Now I
on
am
you.
going out to lunch with that guy tomorrow. He's my brother. I have
Alright.
7 brothers.
Damn.
So, and I'm the oldest. So if he does say, hey, we'll go up there together and hang out for a few days, then I'll probably do it. My wife said she's cool with it. She don't care.
All right, that's fine.
You know, she's okay. I mean, I have a very independent wife. She can handle herself. But we're talking about, see, like this. This is a book called Deadlands,
Hmm.
and it's about the Wild West. But what if the Wild West was really weird, and like all the like monsters you ever heard about really existed, like Wendigo and stuff like that? And the whole point is you make a character, and then you and your friends sit around the table and you pretend to be the character you made. And if you need to do something like shoot at something or whatever, you roll dice. And depending on the numbers on the dice, that depends on whether you succeed or not. That's called a role-playing game. Now, I don't know. I've never heard of any role-playing games being popular in India, but I'm sure somebody there. I mean, there's a billion of you guys. I'm sure somebody plays D&D or something.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
there's gotta be.
I mean, statistically, it would be impossible with a billion people for at least not one person to, you know.
I mean, almost 1.5.
Yeah. So statistically, someone over there, you know, is playing something. Echo the Dolphin. I've never played that one, but yeah, right now, Subnautica, I spend my time annoying Reapers with my prawn suit and just building bases in weird places where you shouldn't build bases. I'm still right now, I'm looking for that deep cave where you can get the magnetic ore so that I can start building thermal generators. But that's all I do. So I'm not even playing the game, really. I'm just wasting time gathering resources and building stuff. But
Yeah.
I got attacked by a ghost trooper the other day, and I punched it right in the damn face, and it ran away. So, thought you were worried about leaving the wife. I'm not worried about that. I would ask her how she feels about it, and if she was like, yeah, that's fine, then I would go. I mean, my wife has her own career. She, you know, she really, the only reason she keeps me around, I think, is because I can get stuff off the top shelf, because she's very short and I'm very tall. So,
Oh,
you know.
don't say that, James. You got other attributes she likes.
Well, I'm a pretty good dancer.
I'm not going down that road. That road goes way down.
No, I'm being serious. I'm a pretty good dancer. She likes my dance.
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying.
What's up, Doc? How you doing, bro? But yeah, so usually on my channel, even though we do sometimes get into politics and religious whatever, 90% of the time we're talking about like model kits that we've made and painted and how we will use them in different games. Like these, I may use in a Lord of the Rings game that we're playing because they're barrows. So there would be barrow wights in them. And a wight is basically like an undead creature that will drain your life out of you. I will admit I don't know a lot about Indian mythology. So, you know, I know just a little bit about the religion. I know about Kali and Shiva.
I know everything I know about
like
Indian religion basically from this book.
Right.
I mean, it sounds. Well, I don't know if you can see it. I'd have to turn up.
Super
the thing. There you
Fi
go.
Shark, how you doing? I hope you've gotten your daily required amount of purple crayon today. Hey, there's Bear showing up out of nowhere.
The bear.
The Bear.
Oh,
Hey, what's up?
The Canadian
How you
reprobate.
doing?
One and
Well,
only,
we
the great
have
one
a
north.
young gentleman from India, and we were just talking to him about stuff.
Cha. GG.
I am doing great, Shark, and I hope you're doing great too. I hope all of you are doing great, obviously. I am putting together from the company Great Escape Games. I have this 10-pack multi-part plastic female gunslingers. In case, you know, and because I may run a game of Deadlands, I'm definitely going to need a couple female gunslingers. He said where he was from, but I forgot. Delphi?
Oh no,
something
he
like
says New Delhi.
Delhi?
He's from
Delhi.
Delhi.
Maybe it's in Delhi.
Delhi.
I
Yeah,
don't
okay.
remember. The other thing is, like I told you guys the other day, I decided to be a knucklehead and get involved in yet another game that I'll probably never play. So here is my English nationality starter set for Blood and Plunder. This came really quick. And on the inside of it are 25 British sailors with a card with all the abilities British sailors get. And since the box set I ordered has Lieutenant Maynard in it, who is the guy who finally defeated Blackbeard the pirate, it has Blackbeard in it too. And so, you know, I'll be able to take the 24 figures in that box and make them all pirates, since I've got 25 British guys already. New Delhi is a huge city. Yeah. If you're from New Delhi, that city's huge. Buggery plus 10. Doc, I'm not saying you're wrong, sir. Hold on. There he is. There he is.
Hey, Doc.
How goes?
Doc.
But basically the whole story of this game is skirmishing pirates. That's it. That's the whole game. You've got a crew of around 20 dudes, and you raid. You get to roll to see who the attacker and defender is, and then the attacker tries to raid different coastal towns, or if you're playing ship to ship, then, you know, you try to either sink the enemy ship or board it.
Agrim, what city are you from?
I'm from Delhi.
You're from Delhi. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Agrim Bear is actually Canadian from Montreal.
I'm Canadian,
so-
but I'm also my friends call me Desigora. So, you know, do what you want with that.
But
So are you like
so
half
if that
Canadian, half
question
Indian?
you had
I'm
about
sorry?
the Indian guy getting killed, he's the guy to answer that.
What?
Are you like half Indian, half Canadian?
No, I'm all white, but I spent 9 years with a Punjabi girl.
Okay, so
And so,
I
and I
was
work
basically
in my
talking about.
job, I taught a lot of people from India. So I just wound up becoming Desigora and picking it all up and being, Jiji Acha and all that fun stuff. Mostly the Punjabi side, sadly, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, I was basically talking about Khalistanis in
Oh,
Canada.
Khalistanis.
Yeah,
Uh-oh. Why are you
yeah.
talking about the Khalistanis?
I was just asking his opinion.
Does he have one?
No.
No.
What about you?
I think Canada should stay the fuck out of it. I think it's none of
That's
our
great.
fucking business. I think everything that goes on between India, Pakistan, and Kashmir and all of that fun part of the world is your business, not ours, and we should stay the fuck out.
Wait a minute.
Absolutely agreed.
Are you saying James didn't have an opinion about something?
It's a miracle, isn't it, guys?
Brutal.
I am
There,
confused.
there are some opinions, my good friend Doc, that even I don't want to get into. Because that whole Middle East shit, that is a
Not
rabbit
Middle East.
hole I don't want to jump down.
No,
And I spent
Khalistani
time
is not
over there,
Middle Eastern, though. It's-
actually, fighting wars against these people. And I just don't want to be involved with it. And I don't think we should either.
So, James, do you know what the Khalistani question is that he's asking you? Do you know what it's about?
He says that I guess some First Nations guys killed a Sikh guy.
Allegedly, like basically, Justin said in the parliament
Yeah, fuck
that
Justin.
the Indian government killed the Sikh guy.
First of all, fuck Justin. That's the number one rule in Canada. Fuck Trudeau in his ass, although that might be how he likes to spend his weekend. Secondly, the Khalistani thing, James, is do you know what Khalistan is? Do you know what he's talking about when he talks about Khalistan?
I have no idea because
So
I've
there's
never
there's
seen this on news or
There's a
anything.
violent sect of Sikhs who want their own country called Khalistan. And they've done a lot of terrorism over the years to do it because they take the Palestinian PLO playbook. Yep. So they ignore the living Gurdwara, the living guru. They pay no attention to what they're taught at the Gurdwara, and they just do whatever the fuck they want. And sadly, they're also tied into the organized crime in British Columbia, etc., etc., etc. It is a bad thing.
Oh, weird. Every
Well,
Sikh
like I
I've ever
told
met has
you,
been so
Green,
mellow.
if Bear were here, he would know because he lives in Canada.
Well, and
Yeah.
I spent 9 years engaged to a Punjabi Sikh woman. She was Namdari Sikh, but it was still Sikh, and I heard a lot.
Whereas
So-
Doc and I could not be further from that part of the world if we tried.
Mm.
I mean, because we're in Florida, it's as far south in America as you can get, really.
Yeah.
No Sikhs in Florida? That surprises me.
Oh,
Yeah,
listen.
but everyone I've ever met has been a doctor.
So again, the Khalistanis are a very, very, very small portion of the Sikh community. They're not representative of Sikhism. In fact, they're really, really a bad representation of Sikhism. Have you ever heard about the Lockerbie bombing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Well,
I
that
have
was
not.
Oh, is
one
that
of their little maneuvers that they pulled back in the day,
Oh, I
where they
didn't
blew
know
up a
that.
plane that left Canada because it had some people on it they wanted dead, and that wound up crashing all over Scotland when it
The
exploded.
plane
right?
bombing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. That was an
Yeah.
ugly,
Well,
ugly
that's
scene.
their bullshit, right? That's their type
Oh,
of
I had
stuff.
no idea.
Yeah.
That was happening. Huh. Every Sikh I've ever met has been just like the most mellow person.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Until they're not, my friends. There's an entire portion of Sikhism of Sikhs that are just not casual people at all. I mean, for Christ's sake, after the Golden Temple raid, what's her name? Indira Gandhi, I think it was. Was it Indira Gandhi
Yeah,
who had
Indira
she had
Gandhi.
6 bodyguards? And after the shit that they did against the Golden Temple, they just turned around one day and murdered her. Straight up. Just
Yeah.
fuck this bitch. Like, it's insane. Like, we need to stay the fuck out of India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. Leave these people sort their own shit out.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
if I understand agreeing, you can't stay out of it because they're there.
Well, we have the
Yeah.
largest Sikh community in the world outside of India and Pakistan is in Canada. and they have a very, very large voting bloc, and they have a very, very large political influence, especially in Western Canada. But like, for example, in just outside Toronto, there's a place called Brampton. Brampton used to be a white trash neighborhood. Now the nickname for it is Browntown, Brindia, Bramladesh, like, because it's all Indian. When I lived in Vancouver the first time, there was a neighborhood called Surrey. And when I went there in the 90s, a Surrey girl had blonde hair teased up to the skies and blue eyeshadow. You know, it was a Surrey girl. Now, Surrey girls are very brown, very Sikh, you know, because they took over, like, they just bought up all the houses in Surrey and put their businesses there and all that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we like in Canada. But with them came this little group of Khalistanis who got involved with organized crime in British Columbia to raise money, right? The old-fashioned way of how do you get money for your your terrorist organization? Sell drugs, run prostitutes, things like that. And that's what happened. It sucks.
So, do you think Pierre will change the situation right now
No.
if he gets
Pierre
elected?
Pierre's not getting reelected, so that's the first thing. Or sorry, Pierre Poilievre. Poilievre is going to win the next election for sure, but he's not going to touch a damn thing because you can't have. There's no way you can get a majority government in Canada without having the Indian community on your side out west. Like,
Yeah.
you just can't do it. And in Ontario, you can't do it anymore. And he's done a great job of appealing to the brown conservatives in Canada. So, you know, of course he's going to want to keep that. So he's got to stay out of it. But we'll see. You never know. Canadian guys like to get in power and do stupid things.
Mm.
We have the same thing in America that you described, except it's called Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah.
And every person in Dearborn, Michigan is Muslim. And from like Iran or somewhere in the Middle East. And it
Yeah.
used to be just like Dearborn, Michigan. And then one day there were mosques everywhere, and everyone that lived there was from Iran or Iraq. And, you know, they're not very welcoming to outsiders.
Yeah.
Of course, this time around, they all voted for Trump. It's like, wow.
Patterson,
yeah.
New Jersey's like that too now.
Yeah, it was like, because for some reason we'll go to war with the country, and then when the war's over, we'll bring like 1 million of them to America and just sit them in a city. That's what happened with Minneapolis. We brought like 500,000 Somalis and just dumped
Yeah.
them in Minneapolis. And, you know, the people in Minneapolis are like, WTF, dudes.
Did you guys watch
And
the video in Germany? So, like, there were a group of Muslims protesting, and they were basically saying, like, we want Sharia law
yeah, well,
in
that's the
Germany.
thing. That's the thing with people who don't understand them is like, Islam is a religion, but it's also a political movement.
Yeah.
You know, it's both. So, like, if they get in power, they want their legal system enforced, which is Sharia. And people in the West, I assume you might be Hindu or whatever, you know, they don't want that. You know, they're not fans of that. So that's where you run into your issue with that. And England's having a hard time because they're almost at that point where the Hindus, not the Hindus, the Muslims will have enough power to actually start making things happen, you know.
I mean, the
Because
mayor is Muslim only.
when they're weak, they always act subservient, but when they're strong, they always act demanding. That's
Yeah.
actually in the Quran. They talk about it's called tukid. You know, you lie and pretend to be weak until you're strong enough to conquer whoever you're going to conquer. Yeah.
Europe in
The
another
name of
generation.
also
is
the
gonna be
name of
radically different.
a planet in Baltic, Tukid. But
Doc,
yeah,
can you repeat?
any
He's got his
questions
Aztec
about
face.
Canada, I refer you to Bear.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
Okay,
live in the
Bear,
worst part of
I got a
Canada.
question for you.
What's that, guys?
What do you think the odds of Trudeau even making it to the next election are?
He's the theory, the walking theory for most Canadians these days that aren't diehard idiot liberals is that he's going to pull a Brian Mulroney and just retire, and he's going to use the separation with his wife Sophie as the reasoning to do it. So he can say, "Oh, I want to focus on my family," right? And then he leaves, and he'll give Chrystia Freeland the PM seat, and then she'll tank the next election because she's an unlikable cunt. And and then we'll get some sanity in Canada. Look, everyone likes Poilievre because Poilievre's a dog. No one understands that about Poilievre outside of Canada. The people who watch Poilievre in the media, they go, "Oh, he's so great." Yes, but he was a barking dog under the Harper government. His job was to attack. His job was to let the other side say something, and then he goes after, and that's what he's really good at. Can he lead? Don't know. There's nothing in his history, right? Sorry?
His name is Poilievre.
Yeah, Pierre Poilievre. Yeah, no, you guys call him Poilievre because of the way it's spelled at the end, but it's Poilievre. It's French. He's not French.
Oh, okay. Because when I hear Poilievre, I immediately think, is this guy Russian?
No, it's French.
Because Poilievre sounds Russian.
Yeah, no, that would be different. It would be spelled
Like if his name was Ivan Poilievre, you'd be like, yeah, that guy's a Russian.
When I say Poilievre, I'm saying it in English. If I was saying it in French, it would be Poilievre.
He just bribed us with 2 months HST pause. Ugh. Politicians used to earn your vote. Now they bribe us.
Yeah, that's the way it works. Yeah, they send you a check now for $200-300 to help alleviate the inflation. Not with the average idiot Canadian not realizing that doesn't alleviate inflation. That creates more inflation. You fucking
Poilievsky. I know we've got a Sikh temple in Orlando, but I've never been to it.
They probably serve lunch every day. You should go.
We've also got a Kung Fu Buddhist temple, like Shaolin.
They probably just kick
like
you in
the
the
dragons,
face.
and you always see the guys wearing.
They probably just give you a boot to the head. Don't go there for lunch.
Yeah, you always see the guys wearing like the orange monk suits, like doing workout in the yard, and when you drive by, it's actually really cool. I mean, I guess anyone can join. I mean, they're not like, oh, you're not Chinese, you can't be a monk. I mean, anybody can join there.
I saw something on YouTube, actually. There's some Buddhist temple somewhere. I'm not sure where it was, where they actually they have a cat that's actually officially a monk.
See, I wouldn't doubt that, because the Orthodox religion, especially the Russian variant, is so into cats, it's almost weird. It's like anytime you see an Orthodox monastery full of monks, there'll be like 100 cats there. And
like,
every time you see a picture of a
playing
monk,
jazz, or do you mean like felines?
Felines.
Because I think it'd be awesome if it was just a bunch of cool cats playing jazz.
Cool cats just hanging out. No, you'll see a picture of like
Stone Groove.
A Russian monk standing in 2 feet of snow, petting all of his cats.
Well, in Turkey, they are like super. They treat cats better than they treat homosexuals and transgender people in Turkey, man. Like, it's crazy how well they treat cats.
They kill dogs for cats.
Yeah. They're insanely into cats in Turkey. Like, it's up the weird wall.
Bev, what is your opinion on carbon emission tax?
I think it's a stupid fucking thing, and it doesn't benefit anybody except the corporations, and it punishes us for being alive. Canada has 0.1% of the carbon emissions of the world. If we were to stop all carbon emissions in Canada, we would reduce global carbon by 0.1%. So why the fuck are we paying 60% fees over the course of the compounding from every stage it's applied at for carbon? Get fucked.
China has like the 27% share in emissions.
Yeah, how's India doing?
India is, I mean, it is decent.
It's pretty good. It's not good. It's bad. India needs to do what they've been doing, which is investing in micronuclear plants. That's the best fucking move India can make right now, is these micronuclear plants that they can set up in neighborhoods to power the entire neighborhood. That's going to go so far to reduce their carbon footprint. I think that's one of the most brilliant moves I've seen India pull lately. And then, of course, some stupid Chinese fucking spy is going to go in and blow up one of them, or some Pakistani psycho, or some Khalistani terrorist. Fuck. 5,000 years of civilization. You guys can't get along. Why? It's been 5,000 years, man.
Because it's 5,000 years of like people invading the Indian subcontinent.
That's fair. That's fair.
So everybody's got grudge. It's like some people hate the Mughals, you know, and there was like the Gupta Empire, and like, I mean,
it's
that
fair.
place-
No, it is fair.
yeah, there's a lot of
It
different
sucks,
stuff
though.
going on.
You know it sucks. Like, that's the worst part. It just sucks.
Jagmeet Singh, Canada NDP leader,
He's an asshole.
who won't denounce Khalistani activists.
He's a Khalistani, obviously. Or no,
He's
sorry.
the leader.
He's a Khalistani, Jagmeet. And he's gay, by the way.
But okay, let's say the
hides
Khalistani
it,
get their
but
own
he is.
province. I mean, in
Sorry,
Canada.
What?
I was just saying, if you were fighting for a province, Canada.
No,
seems
it's not in
like the
Canada.
last
It's in
place you would
India. They
want.
want it in India. They want the Punjab, the piece
Yeah.
of Punjab that is in Pakistan and India to become Khalistan, its own country.
Oh, but they're in India doing shady shit to finance.
They're doing shady shit in Canada to send the money back over there, and then they do shady. And then so basically, one of their leaders or one of their high ups got assassinated. Essentially, now they claim, what's his name, Moti, claimed that Canada executed him. Canada claims India executed him. And what turns out is he got killed in a fucking crime retribution. No one fucking assassinated him from politics. He got fucked over being a drug dealer, essentially, and being with the wrong people. And that's why he got fucking killed. But no one wants to say that because it doesn't work. Sorry?
There's no hay to be made out of that, though.
No, you can't make political hay out of this guy was a piece of shit drug dealing fucking asshole. So he got killed for being a criminal by other criminals. No,
The
it's
thing
much
about
better to
being a
blame.
drug dealer is there's a really good chance somebody's going to kill you at some point.
No shit.
I mean, they're going to want to rob you because, I mean, it's not like you can just throw your money in the bank. So if you rob a drug dealer, you know they got money on them.
Yeah, when I lived in the Bronx, we had a shooting in our stairwell in the building between drug dealers. That was the end for me. I was like, I'm out of this city and I'm never coming back.
Oh, yeah.
I was out of there a month later. I was like, I'm done with New York forever.
When we ran the meth heads out of my part of Kentucky, we had zero anything crime. And they went to another town, and now all they do over there is like rob each other. You know what I mean? But they know better than to come up the mountain to where my town is, because there's a good chance they could go missing. So, you know how it is in eastern Kentucky in the mountains, you know, it's like,
Well, the big thing about drugs from Mexico and the meth is the precursor chemicals coming from, I'm sorry about this, Agram, coming from India and China that are going to Mexico underneath different names. And the customs service in Mexico is so corrupt that they just have to pay them a few $1,000s and a shipload of a container full of chemicals go in there. And then they can just make whatever they want and ship it to the United States. As far as I'm concerned, there should be some high sea interdictions and stuff and stopping that nonsense.
Yeah, Mexico's an absolute mess. I saw Joe Rogan was interviewing a guy who's like basically the Mexican equivalent of the DEA. He's been doing it for 20 years and he's had to spend half of them in hiding. Just depending on who's in power, if you're like not on the take, you have to like just disappear.
Yeah.
When certain people like get into office, they like go into hiding and then come back when somebody more reasonable comes in. It's like it's a regular thing in the department.
Oh, well,
It's like it's insane, Mexico. And I hate to say it because I'm not an interventionist at all, but I'm just really starting to feel like we need to just like go and stomp on Mexico.
well, if the government declares the cartels to be a terrorist organization, then under our law, that would give us the legitimacy to start either droning them, sending in special operators. I mean, we've already conquered Mexico twice, I think, and then gave it back because we didn't want it. But I mean, as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know this in our history, but Robert E. Lee, when he was a colonel, he led the cavalry charge into Mexico City that caused them to surrender.
Yeah, George S. Patton, when he was a lieutenant, ran the first mechanized assault, and it was into Mexico to get some bandit.
Pancho Villa.
You know that there's a statue to the Irish in Mexico for the in honor of the Irish fighters who basically went down and helped them with their revolution.
Those dudes have had a revolution for like since they got rid of the frickin' who are they called? The frickin' Habsburgs.
Well, here's part of the problem in Mexico too is there's just too much money in the drug business. I mean, if they didn't have the money to bribe the officials, then eventually what would happen is the officials would finally turn on the drug runners. But there's just goddamn too much money, and there's going to be.
Are you suggesting we should decriminalize drugs and actually make them taxable products by the government, like alcohol and cigarettes, and thereby break the backbones of all these illegal organizations that use them to fund their fucking finances, like Portugal did? No, that could never work.
You know, when the county I'm from made alcohol legal, it killed the bootleggers. All the bootleggers went out of business. Because why would you buy some random jar of whiskey from some guy when you can just go into a store and buy a bottle of Jack Daniels if you wanted? So all of the illegal moonshine.
Where's the fun in that? You might not go blind.
And a lot of them switched over to growing marijuana. I mean,
well, my name's John Lee Pettimore.
That's a fact. That song is 100% true.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
But
is it ever.
Copperhead Road is in Tennessee, I think. But yeah, that's an appellation. Irish Catholics treated like shit in the U.S. Army. Yep. Wouldn't even allow them to practice their religion and were being used as cannon fodder. Absolutely true. Look at the Battle of Fredericksburg, where the Irish Confederates basically crushed the Union Confederates in a battle.
Yeah, my great-great-grandfather was drafted on the boat. He hadn't even set foot on American soil when he was in the Army. They literally conscripted him coming off the boat.
It's like, here's your coat and rifle, buddy. Get ready to march into a hellhole of a place where it's hot all the time and the mosquitoes are, you know, as big as freaking hummingbirds, and then fight assholes who want to live there.
You ever hear John Stewart's whole bit about his grandfather being the most racist immigrant to the U.S. ever?
Who?
And how he basically just turned around after signing his papers at Ellis Island and went, I'm an American now? Yeah. Turned around to everybody in line behind and went, get out of my country, you foreign bastards.
Yeah, it turned out the Confederacy had an all-Irish regiment called the 24th Carolina or Georgia. I think maybe 24th Georgia, and they carried the blue flag with the harp on it and all that shit. Like, they were like hardcore. And at Fredericksburg, they faced off against a unit from New York, a regiment from New York that was also all Irish. So it's like one of those weird points in history where it's like, you know.
Well, the British were transporting tons of Fenians at that point. So these were rabble-rousing, fighting bastards to begin with.
Well, I mean, Australia is half Irish. Like, everyone in Australia is part Irish.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because they were all shipped there as prisoners for doing bullshit and pissing the British off.
It's the largest
during
individual
the Irish
export in the
Holocaust,
U.S. too.
Like the reason they were doing it was because during the blight and the potato famine, the British were taking all the food out of Ireland, but with the fucking Royal Marines. Like they were like shooting people who tried to feed their families, and then when they did stuff like steal food and all that, they shipped them off to fucking Australia. Like, fuck the British. Like, okay, look, no offense. England's a wonderful place, and they've done some wonderful things, and of all the imperial powers, they're probably the least shitty, but that doesn't make them not shitty in what they've done. You know what I mean? All of our headaches in India right now are because of the partition. The partition was done by a guy who never went to India in his life, got to India, found it too fucking hot, did it as fast as he could so he could get the fuck out of India and go back to England. Never mind, he split people right down religious lines with his borders. Didn't give a fuck. That's all our bullshit in the Middle East. Why? Because of England drawing random fucking borders. All the bullshit in Africa. Why? Because of England drawing random borders. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I disagree. I think East Pakistan was a good idea.
Bangladesh?
Bangladesh, yeah.
I love that. At one point, the two countries both call themselves fucking Pakistan. Then one guy goes, fuck it, it would be Bangladesh. I don't care. Fuck him. I don't care. It's like that's the best part of fucking Indian history for me. But yeah, it's a mess. You know what I mean? It's a fucking mess. No wonder the Irish fucking hate the British. Can you blame them?
Is there an example of the British partitioning something that did not explode? I can't think of a single one. Did they?
We're the only good example of British colonialism because there weren't anybody here other than the natives who they fucked over, and they actually didn't fuck the natives over until after you guys did it, and then we can do that. Oh, that looks good. You know, like that's what happened.
No, it's everything to the east of
Canada,
England,
always copying
everything to the west is fine. Belize, Bermuda, and Canada.
Yeah. There's an island. There's a Turks and Caicos down in the Caribbean. They want to be a Canadian protectorate. They've begged Canada to make them a protectorate, and the government keeps saying no. Meanwhile, all the Canadians are going, whoa. You're talking about creating a fucking place in the Caribbean where we can go on vacation and use Canadian money? Why aren't we fucking doing this? You know what I mean? And the reason why is you, by the way.
Me?
Because you guys have made it clear you don't want us to do it.
Puerto Rico a state here. You know what I mean? We won't take Puerto Rico as a new state. So
they won't vote to do it.
They don't want to do it.
To vote to do it.
They're in such a better position as a protectorate than they would be as a state.
Yeah, if they're a state, they'd have to pay taxes and.
Yeah, they'll never become a state. It's not in their financial interest to do so.
Yeah, it's not in their financial interest. What you doing, Bruce Lombardo? How are you? So they're protectorate. Plus, they have. I learned this a long time ago when I was in the Army. Apparently, they have a separatist group in Puerto Rico that have done terrorist shit.
No way.
For real. So that's a thing too.
Yay!
Yeah, right. Yay! There's a separatist group in Puerto Rico that does blow shit up because
their name is like FALN.
Florida too.
Because they don't want to be part of the U.S. And then Trump's talking about buying Iceland again, or not Iceland, Greenland.
I was going to say, is anyone consulted Iceland about this? I can't imagine.
No, I don't think Iceland would be down with it. I mean, they practically went to war with the British over freaking fish. So, the great North Atlantic Cod War between Iceland and freaking England.
I'm ready to go to war with Denmark over Hans Island. Looks like, that could be fun.
But, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I love the guy to death, but he's definitely got some kind of weird plans for Greenland. Because last time he was president,
Trumpland. He's going to rename it Trumpland. Big giant gold
something.
There it is. It's no longer Greenland. It's Orange Land now. It's beautiful. It's great big land. There's a lot of room. Ask anyone, they'll tell you. Look at the map. Big as Africa. Bigger.
Right. He definitely has a love affair going with Greenland. Maybe he knows that like the temperature is getting ready to rise really quick in the future, and then Greenland will be a nice place to live.
Greenland
And,
could
like-
never be a nice place to live. Dude, do you know what kind of fucking insects live in Greenland?
No,
Oh my God. Ask any fucking serviceman who's had to do a tour in Greenland at one of the radar bases. You do not want to be there in the spring or the summer because these fucking things will eat you alive.
There's nothing there. It's like a field of rocks.
Oh no, there's lichen, there's tons of stuff, and there's insects. Lots and lots of these biting, stinging fucking insects.
and polar bears,
Yes. And Danes.
and
Ugh.
a bunch of Alaskans that all have Viking names, or not Inuits with Viking names. Like they look 100% like they're natives, but then their names are like,
Benson.
Ivgard,
Wouldn't-
son, and shit like that.
Well, gentlemen, as much fun as this is, I got to eat my supper before I get ready to go on Max's show tonight. So,
Nice.
Grim, it was nice to meet you, man. Come back sometime.
For sure, I will.
All right,
And,
yeah,
Doc-
and Bear,
Peter Bear, I'll have that sheet for you in like an hour.
Better, you bastard.
you better, you bet.
Woo! James, take care, sir. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Well, I gotta get off because the wife is walking the dog, and she said that apparently we're going somewhere tonight. It is Friday, so that is kind of a date night thing.
Ooh.
So I'm going to be shutting the stream down anyway because she'll be back soon. Because
Alrighty, well.
she's a power walking little thing.
Okay, I will catch you
know.
later. It's good meeting you, man.
Yeah, it's great meeting you, Grim. Grim, I had a really good time hearing your point of view about things. I
Likewise.
had no idea there was a Khalistan or whatever.
Hmm.
I never even heard of it. Just never even. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, chat. Cheers to all of you, and I will see you next time. And Max will have his show on later. You can all watch that, and I'll probably be out at the pub getting something to eat. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe get
See you.
myself a nice fish and chips or something. But anywho, and Grim, you're always welcome on. But yeah, most of the time we might be boring to you because we'll be talking about, like my unit of Irish wolfhounds or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a history buff, so I like history as well. So you guys are
Oh, I
talking about
love
history
history.
only.
I love history.
That's great.
You and I could talk because I do know a little bit about the history of northern India, but not really the South. I know about the Gupta Empire, the Mughals, things like that. But really, the South, I don't know much about. But I hear my wife just walked in the door. So, like a good
See you
husband,
later. Bye.
goodbye and go in peace.
You too.